Hey, for those who are just waiting, just letting you know, we are having just some minor technical difficulties. We will be getting started here shortly with our guest here, Herb Simmons. Here, we just wanted to make sure that we were not booted off of Facebook because we know how they can be a little bit of a nitpick when things are not going according to plan, and that's what we're trying to do here right now. Is we're trying to get things set up here to make sure we're able to get you to get going. So yeah. Did did we chew all the wires again? No, he did not. So I think Zach does not chew. He does other things with leaves, but we'll just digress from that. Let's see. So no, guys, just bear with us here. We are going to be getting started here very shortly. Thank you very much for joining us. Making sure here looks like we are watching on looks like Facebook is gone live. And yeah, I just kind of want yeah, it's just we may have to create a whole new scene here and just get this going, right? And that yeah, because we just want to make sure we are doing everything properly that we can. So yeah, let's just do that, and we will get things here going. In fact, we're gonna remove that. Yeah. See, this is fun when you're doing something live and when things go wrong, you have to find a way to make corrections. And well, this is what we do. By any stretch of the imagination, we are not perfect. So thanks for accepting us for not being perfect. That's all I gotta say. We I think we're gonna get started here shortly. So we will see here on the flip side here. We're getting things prepared here and give us about a few minutes and we will be right back here on screen live.
The Falls Count Everywhere podcast would like to mention our friends at the following. For the most intriguing wrestling stories and info on independent shows in multiple regions, nobody does it like We Talk Wrestling. Subscribe to Facebook's #1 interactive community for professional wrestling today. Pro wrestling on Tuesdays are a blast with the Wrestle Talk podcast. Join the entire crew every Tuesday at 7 p.m. as they bring their takes on the major circuits, showcase interviews with various indie stars, and news on the #1 fantasy wrestling promotion, the FWWC. Visit them at facebook.com/WrestleTalkPodcast and at WrestleTalkCast on YouTube and X.
All of us here show appreciation and love to our first responders, military, and volunteers that help our nation as well as protect and serve us every day. Thank you for all you do.
We're coming at you live with episode number 193 of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast as we welcome one of the show's favorite return guests who's promoted professional wrestling for over 52 years across Illinois and Missouri and the powerful locomotive driving St. Louis's biggest wrestling event of the year, SICW FanFest 3, this coming weekend. The one and only Mr. Herb Simmons.
Welcome to the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. The show starts in
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go!
Welcome to the show. Buckle up tight. Rough cut Rick will be in the spotlight. Champ City Mouse Smith breaking it down. Best wrestlers podcast in this town. Blood and sweat in every word. Echoes of the ring haven't you heard? Wrestling tales, raw and true. Podcast alive, bringing it
good evening, everybody. We are here live. Despite all the tech gremlins trying to get us down, we are here with episode number 193 of the False Count Everywhere podcast, and we thank you very, very much for joining us live. And once again, we've been talking about a week after week after week after week, and now the time is about finally here. SICW FanFest 3 is on the horizon this coming weekend, this coming Friday and Saturday in St. Louis, right off the airport. And these three guys are going to be here experiencing it all. I am Rough Cut Rick Ruby here at the top left, to the right, the Gem City Mouse Zmiz, and of course, Dirty Heel Austin Cage right below us here. So we're going to get to that here just in a bit. And of course, we've had some news that some unfortunate news that happened today. We'll get to talk about that here in just a minute with our featured guest of the evening, Herb Simmons, which will be on here in just a couple minutes. Z, how are things going for you, my friend? Of course, today's Mother's Day. Did you treat the wife well?
My wife got to sleep, bro. Like she worked 12 hours last night. She slept all day because she deserves it. I made pizza, actually. Papa Murphy's did. Thank you.
I love that, man. I love that pizza. It's been a while.
we had Papa Murphy's because I didn't feel like cooking, and she doesn't need to cook. And the kids all hung out in the neighborhood, and one of my son's kid buddies came over, so his mom didn't have to deal with him today. So I helped out 2 moms today. What'd you do?
Well, actually, technically, I did help my mom because, my mom. Well, I got together with the family and, of course, with the mother yesterday because unfortunately we had a couple of people had some other plans here actually today for other things to do with Mother's Day, and so I got to spend time with my mother and family yesterday. So, and then of course today. The wife had a very ill battle to fight this past week, and she was actually hospitalized 2 hours away from home, and that was quite a week trying to be there, going back and forth. Literally, I was 2 different 4-hour round trips to make sure to take care of her needs and make sure that everything is good. But she's home now, resting, and. And so now hopefully the chaos can settle down so I can get into another battle of chaos this coming weekend. Fun chaos. Dirty Heel Austin Cage, what do you do here for Mother's Day, my friend? I mean, I seen some things on your personal Facebook, but what did you have to do with Mother's Day today?
Let's see. We went to her mother's house for a couple of hours, but my fiance, she loves to sleep. She ended up falling asleep on her mother's couch, and me and her mom just talked and watched TV. And then had to wait till my mom got home, and then we went over to my mom's house, and we just had a cookout, ate, and then all my family was over there, and my mom was ready to go to sleep, so I told everybody to get out. My mom's ready to go to bed, so she could sleep. So she wanted to say, I was like, Mom, I'll say it, don't worry. So.
And I give you a nice little gift here as you were talking here. I actually finally got his logo uploaded next to his name, Z. Da, 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 da.
Good job. Nice.
It's funny how we talk some ideas of like, hey, I did not use ChatGPT to create it either. So there you go. I put it in the word, not you AI.
Making fun of me.
AI.
Making fun of me.
When it comes to stuff like that, I want to take credit for the work I do. So, most of the time I do. So, if I cheat, then I don't. So, either way, guys, so we got a lot to talk about here. There's just a whole lot of things upcoming this coming weekend. There's, like I said, weeks upon building, anticipating. Week after week, we pressed it here. Now it's finally here, and it's here with SICW FanFest 3. Once again, it's going to be at the St. Louis Hilton, right across from the airport, not too far down. And we are stoked. We've got some things, and hopefully we're trying to think of a couple things to do here to kind of lighten, some light things to do here, and also just also talk with GQ today, who was out traveling, and he has confirmed that he is making it. He's about 90% certain he is making the fan fest. So
Nice.
hopefully that other 10% will be filled here in a couple of days for confirmation. But it looks like it's all good. Um, but either way, we're all going to have fun, and especially we want to bring on our featured guest, who is basically the who runs all. He's the main locomotive. He's driving everything here at FanFest 3. Of course, the first one came two years ago with the possibility of maybe doing one. And he said, yeah, let's run with it. And then now it's just becoming more in demand since 2 years ago. And now it's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, especially with this year with FanFest 3. So with not further ado, everybody, let's bring on our featured guest of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Herb Simmons, everybody. Yeah, if I can find that.
This is a very long clap, Zach.
I'm going to keep it going, too. He deserves it.
Not that. Here we go. Is that it? No,
There we go.
This is it. This is it. Yeah, I got it. More gremlins.
I had confidence in you, Ruby.
Oh gosh. Yeah,
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't let me hold the Pennsylvania time soon. I'll be erasing too much. So.
Well, I appreciate those kind words and you guys having me on tonight as we are on this bumpy road to FanFest 3, as you guys have been such a major supporter. Again, this year, you guys were the first ones that jumped on board and said, hey, we want to be a part of it. And I really appreciate that. And before we get started, I just want to mention one thing. You know, Sunday nights is usually a busy night for me, but last week I got to listen to.
Uh-oh. More gremlins.
This cannot be happening. This cannot be happening. This cannot be happening anymore. Well, we're left in anticipation. What he's going to say next. I was going to freeze on my own, too.
I'm envisioning what he was going to say.
Oh, my gosh.
Like you're ready to go like this. Ready to go like this. This boom and then cut off.
Oh. Well, hopefully he can hold that thought and then bring it back on. Guys, just don't worry about it. I don't think it's anything on my end. I mean,
no, it's the way live TV works. We are just a podcast right here on the YouTube and Facebook and X, and we thank every one of you for joining us. But this is what you get when you go live.
You go, whoopsie.
Just think of it as a FaceTime. It always gets cut off at some point.
Yeah, shout out to Mortal Kombat. Whoopsie.
Oh, dear Lord.
Oh, my gosh. Herb will be on here shortly. I guess real quick, like I said, I mean, we can fill in right now as far as like with Backlash is concerned. And I would imagine it's only going to be a couple minutes before he came back in, but at least St. Louis, and now does it kind of annoy you guys that like when they meet new numbers and everything else, does that kind of get on your nerves a little bit because you know that all these prices have gone up?
So hear about that. Mr. Static and I were talking about all of that. Like everybody's complaining about WWE prices. We need to stop. Like they are the top echelon of it. Think about this. They raised the prices of their main shows, like their PLEs, their TV taping, but they cut all house shows dang near in the United States. So, of course, now they're piggybacking on just those ticket sales. But what did that do for the wrestling world? It leaves bones on it for these great events like one we're going to talk to you about tonight, SICW, or if you want to go to an ACW show, or if you want to go to an IEW show, or if you want to... So, like, there's so many other reasons. It's opening the world back up to something. And I keep saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it. I said it the other day in our chat at IEW. People don't understand that we're literally watching territories resurrect out of the ground.
Yeah.
You are watching an unfolding territory days. If people would get into the mentality of that and be like, let's just start connecting and working, and instead of this whole thing of like, oh, this piece, they're out of pricing it. That's the big guys. That's where we all want to be. Like,
Right.
yes, let them overprice it. That okay, and then it's trickling. Everything's working out. I love professional wrestling. Backlash was a blast. I mean, it was a mediocre show for me, B minus at best. But overall, I enjoyed it. I had fun. I'm not mad. I sat through it. It was an. Let's also prop just STL period. St. Louis was loud as crap. So
Better be for Randy Orton.
hats off to the city. Not just Randy Orton. Did you hear that place for Dom, dude? I had
yeah.
my guy Rick Goodwin from We Talk Wrestling was down there hanging out. One of our good buddies from RCW days back in the day. Dang it, Pretty Boy Floyd. Oh, not Floyd. Oh, why did I've gotten used to seeing his real name because he retired from wrestling. Dang it. But he was there and said it was a great, like, that place was loud. Amazing. It translates good. When the crowd's into it, and by the way, one of those matches, they weren't into it as much as people think they were.
My friend Kirk was there. He was up in the nosebleeds, but he said it was loud as hell sitting up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, guys, guess what? We have our featured guest back, and
let's give him the floor again. Let's try it again. Clap. Ready?
There you go. Take two works.
So much for take one, Herb.
That's
There
right.
you go.
And it was Bradley Stevens III. My dude. Why did I forget Bradley? I've gotten so used to seeing his. Yeah, he's retired. One of my favorites, though.
Why. No, yeah. So yeah, sorry that we had some gremlins here, Herb. I don't know if who the culprit is, but nonetheless, you're here. That's the most important thing. Like I said, I'm sure your phone's been ringing off the hook here for a lot of reasons, and I guess I the thing that that I want to know here, because with me having some promoter experience about 5 years, 7 years back, or whatever, and then we get these demand of like, hey, this was cool, let's do this again, pertaining to the fan fest. How does one handle with the pressure of trying to do something even bigger and better than what they did for the year before? Because people have to know it does take a little bit of a toll, but in the end, the fans usually do win at the end, and there's usually a great positive reaction out of that, right?
Yeah, it's some people, and I've made other comments on other programs that I've done, podcasts that people have said I was crazy for doing the first one and then the second one and now the third one, but St. Louis was lacking that. They've had these all over the country and forever and ever, and so I kind of thought, well, why not? Nick Rednar, my senior referee, and I was talking one day, and of course, Nick is a diehard fan from the old days, from down at Heine Miney Park when Sam Muchnick used to once a year bring some of the wrestlers down there, like Devon Eriks and people like that, and the Bulldog Bob Brown, and he was setting up chairs for 25 cents. So we said, okay, we'll give it a whirl. And then, of course, I said, even with a few hiccups we had, other than, the hotel had some air conditioning issues both years. But last year was definitely a logistical nightmare because we had right at 60 legends that were brought in. And so that meant we had to make right about 60 trips from the airport to the hotel. And then, they don't all come in at the same time. And then we had to get them all out of town Sunday morning, all at different times. So, the feeling that you get out of it is when you see those fans come in there and they bring their youngsters with them and they're getting their autographs. And I love some of these older fans, they act like, oh, it's not for me. I'm bringing the kids, but here they are. They're over there getting autographs and getting their pictures taken with the Rock and Roll Express or whoever it may be. So it's a good feeling. And after all these years that I've been doing it, it's kind of a way to add that off of my bucket list because I like entertaining the fans. I like bringing them the best that I can, and I think we do a good job at that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, I imagine that, you know, I mean, I just because I know there's gonna be a lot. I mean, we're gonna be talking about the names here shortly, but uh, wondered if because Z, didn't you have maybe something that I kind of threw something at Z, kind of
Yeah. I was just reading it. First
Sorry,
off,
buddy.
can we hear what you were going to say before the Gremlins decided to pop their head in, my guy?
Sure. I was going to ask you how much of that I got to say because, and this is totally unsolicited. I mean, I got to listen to your show about 90% last Sunday night because Sunday nights is a pretty busy night. I try to watch our show that comes on before yours, and plus fielding calls. I mean, you got to understand it's been nonstop for about the last 2 weeks with people calling, people needing this, needing that. But so when I saw you had Chris on as your guest, it was so intriguing to hear the story from the young man who I've had the opportunity to talk once or twice to, not nowhere near the length that you guys did last week. But for him to sit there and talk about what life challenges has thrown to him and how he's trying to cope with it and how he's doing it. I mean, I think he's doing a damn good job at coping with whatever. And I can see he has developed into that young man who is determined. He has the passion, he has the drive, and more than anything, he has the heart. And I mean, I can't wish him anything but the best moving forward. I know he had some health issues at one time, and they thought that was really going to sideline him forever. And he fought through that. And now he's climbing that ladder. He reminds me of the Brandon Brettas of the world and the Joey Vanettis, these young guys, the future. But I take my hat off to Chris and that CHWA group. When he talked about, they started off basically in their bedrooms of an old house in a square bedroom, and then went outside. So what? They did it, and look what he's doing now. So kudos to them guys.
Yeah, I'm. Him and I stayed up until about 3 a.m., 3 or 4 a.m. that morning.
Bro,
talking.
No,
we told Ruby, like, go to bed. It's okay. Relax.
We at the microphone.
We were. It was good. I'm so proud of that man.
Well, you should have hooked me in. We'd have had a 3-way then.
Oh, dude. There was ideas turn. That would have been. Whew, I don't know if I can handle that.
And the reason why I say that is because these young men and women are the future. Down the road, they are going to be our legends. Those are going to be the guys that are attending those fan fests, and they're getting that big star notoriety. And I mean, a young man like him who, and he realizes it, that his size hasn't held him back. He's out there doing what's got to be done, and I really enjoyed it when he was talking about how he's changed his style, where it's not like the fish out of water flopping all over the place. He's becoming more of that technical. Hey, I'm going to go in here and chain wrestle, and what I hope he is learning from that is the longevity that he will gain from that. And so, I mean, I really hope someday to catch a match of his where I can be sitting there and I'll be the loudest one clapping for him, I can tell you.
That's awesome. So with all that hype over Chris, we had some hype last year happen at the Fan Fest too. And that was the surprise appearance from Mr. Randy Orton to celebrate his great father going into the Hall of Fame. Tell us kind of how, like, that all came about, but then also, how do you feel about Randy's big chance to potentially take down the quote-unquote last champion at Backlash just past Sunday or yesterday, right? Yeah.
Well, let's start with the first question of, last year. It's no secret. Bob Orton is not only an associate, he's a great friend, done a lot of work with me over the years, and Larry Matisek. And he ran the Ace Wrestling Academy for a couple years for us. Um, and Randy and I go way back to his first match that he ever had at South Broadway Athletic Club.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, if you go on his webpage, I haven't been on there in a long time, but it used to have on there that he had his first match at South Broadway Athletic Club. I remember the call that I got from Bob saying, "Hey, we've got somebody down there can work with the kid. You don't think the old man knows anything anymore?" And I remember calling Tony, and they had training that night, and there was people there that we wanted to take part of that. And so people like the Night Train Gary Jackson, Ron Powers, Danny Boy, all had the opportunity to get in there and roll around with Randy and teach him some more basic and some more psychology. And I don't know if you ever saw the interview that Bill Apter did with him last year in the green room. When he was interviewing him for Bill's program, he even made the comment. Bill said, "Well, what are you going to do when you retire?" Because there's that rumor out there that he's the oldest running person he's out there, and he said, "Well, who knows? Maybe I'll retire and I'll work with Herb Simmons." That's all I needed to hear, So wouldn't it be nice to have him sticking his head in the academy and that? But and when that happened, I couldn't announce that he was going to be there, but
Right.
I sent out the subliminal message through the airwaves that the entire Orton family would be there to partake in the ceremony. And I can't tell you how many calls and text messages I got. Is Randy going to be there? And my answer, I typed back, the entire Orton family will be there. And so people were smart enough to understand that. But then when the pictures came out and the videos came out, I had promoters from across the country texting me and calling me and saying, "Man, how did you get Randy to be able to step inside of a SICW ring?" And my answer to that was, well, it helps when when his father is your good friend and runs your academy for you. So it'd be
Yeah, when I was understanding what you were putting down that whole time. And the little baby boy in me was just all giddy because that is my dude. Randy Orton, I don't care what anyone says. I was never a Cena fan. I was never that guy. I have been all day, every day, Randy Orton, all the way from Randy up. Well, actually, I loved him in our OVW, but where I really fell in love with him as a competitor and a wrestler and like his character was the Randy updates when he hurt his shoulder.
That was great.
That's where the love of Randy Orton really like blossomed for me. I'm like, all right, this guy's in. I like this.
Yeah, he's got to get hurt so he gets some more love.
Well, it was an interesting take on how to go about somebody being hurt, but still trying to keep them on TV because he was pretty fresh when he came to WWE when he got hurt and had that all happen. So like they kept him alive in a character through that whole time, and then we go into Evolution, so it was beautiful. But how do you feel about the main event last night and how St. Louis came out and cheered on the hometown boy?
Well, I can show you text messages from people for about the last week. Everybody tries to predict what's going to happen nowadays. It's not, people don't want to be surprised. They all want to try to figure out what's going to happen. And of course, I can show you a text message with a couple of friends of mine that said, "Hey, Randy's going to win. This is his hometown, and it's going to be packed, and it's going to be great." And I would text back and say, "Go back and check the history. Usually, they don't switch titles in the hometown of one of the people." And as I'm sitting there the other night, I'm getting text messages from people who were there saying, "Man, you called this one right." And I said, well, yeah, it's just, don't try to predict something. Be surprised. The spell of disbelief is what I like about it. So I always refer to the magic trick. If you learn how to do the trick, it's not interesting to you. And I don't want to know.
I don't know if that was the case for me, because like
You want to know
yeah, yeah, I really enjoy. But that's my dream and my passion. My passion is where guys like Ruby and Austin Cage got in the ring to make and paint it. I'm the guy that wants to be
sure.
The guy sitting there like, all right, do this, connect that dot, and then that changes that a little bit, and just the sugar on top, the edge to it, and learning that aspect of professional wrestling is my favorite part, because
and that's your goal, and that's what you're working towards. And I think from what I see, from what I listen to you, you got both feet right there. But I'm talking about the average fan who paid $165 for a nosebleed ticket or $4,000 or $5,000 to sit in the front row. Those fans ought to just want to go there and have a good time.
That's one of my passions with We Talk Wrestling, is trying to keep the fandism, because I think even in professional wrestling as a whole, we get so busy focused on the week to week thing, like the guys that are being the journeymen, that are doing the road work and stuff, and not getting to I guess feed the fandism of professional wrestling anymore as much as they'd want, because they're too focused on being in there. That kind of thing is vastly missed in professional wrestling from what I've seen. Is the guys that have been in it for long lose that child that fell in love with the industry.
Well, and that's and I know you guys all remember Little Dynamite Tony Costa from the MWA, another one of my great friends, and we traveled a lot. He was my junior heavyweight champion for many years, and when he was running South Broadway over there, I was doing their play-by-play for many years, 40 years, and I had all the opportunities in the world to sit in upstairs and listen to what's taking place. And I didn't want to, because as a commentator, you want to be able to sit there and you want to bring that excitement to the fans when you're calling that play-by-play. If you know everything, then you're sitting there like, yeah, okay, that's an arm lock, or here comes a hip toss, oh yeah, so you want to be that, you want to show that excitement. And Tony would just say, come on, I want you to sit in upstairs. No, ain't doing it. So it worked for many years that way. I mean, and I enjoyed doing that. And so I miss Tony, but Tony had a good mind for the business, even though he would have to call the old Herbmeister every now and then and ask me a few questions, how we should do this or that. But for the most part of it, Tony and Larry and I, we came up with a lot of good stuff for South Broadway.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, just kind of going back, just reflecting here on last night. Like I said, to me, like I say, you pulled this big surprise last year, and it's just, to me, I just kind of take, like what a difference a year makes, because literally, like a year ago, we were having the Fan Fest at the Aviator, and Randy comes in and ducks Bob, and here he is. All of a sudden, he's put in the spotlight right after WrestleMania, Backlash St. Louis, and he's in the main event against John Cena with a chance, and just, which by the way, much kudos to Austin Mulatalo, the astonishing one, getting involved and getting his little RKO receipt last night in the main event. So he ate one for Randy too. But
he actually made ringside news. Did you know that?
Yes.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He made ringside news.
And he's another one I should have mentioned when I was talking about Chris and Brandon and Joey. Austin is doing the right things, man. I'm telling you, he's out. He's never forgetting his gear, and he's always got it with him. Of course, last night he had his suit and that on, but they said, and I had people sending me the video of it saying, "Hey, look at this guy!" And then I saw when he did it to Nick, and then when he turned around, there's poor Austin. And what was great is he sold it like nobody else,
Yeah, dude, it was awesome. I like that kid. I like Austin so much. It's not funny. We had a great. Where were we again, Ruby? Where was that con at? We went and had him. And
oh yeah, that was OzCon. That was kind of West Plains, Missouri. I think it was like 2 years ago.
2 years ago. It was amazing. But he had the dialogue partition down, and then to see him in the ring, even like it's a step above, and the kid's going somewhere. I'm so proud of Austin.
Yeah.
So proud.
I think he's going somewhere, but I think a promoter is going to have to look at him and determine, do I keep him the way he is or do I switch him?
Ooh, that's a good. Yeah, I agree. That's kind of how I feel about Brandon right now too.
Oh yeah, Brandon is he's a guy you got to keep an eye on because them guys. And he's another one that's doing the chain wrestling, and him and I have talked, and I've told him the same thing. You've just added several years to your career by doing that. You know, it's okay for some high spots and some flippity floppity, but you know, you go out there and try to do it over a 15, 20-minute match. You're gonna take some years off you.
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna be the third year in a row this man has tried to get me into that battle.
This rookie.
this
rookie here needs
coming at me
silence.
again. I don't know.
Texan here.
I have battle royal experience. I do. I didn't last very long.
You could do the Pat McAfee, get scared for a woman, and just hop yourself over. Say you were in it.
Already did it.
Yeah,
and
already did it.
And when I did it, I left Mr. Exodus to get his butt whooped too.
You got receipts coming, brother. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
no, it's just with me going into my 30th year into the business, and now our first sightings of Randy is like 2 years. Like I said, I mentioned this last week with seeing Randy just coming into the locker room at the Overland Community Center with his Hayeswood Central Letterman's jacket on and just following behind Bob, getting ready to wrestle Butch Reed that night. And I'll tell you, it's just like, man, you just never thought whoever just walks past you and how big they make it in life or in the business. And it's just incredible. So you never know who's going to pass right in front of you, and they're just going to go up and elevate. So hopefully we do that with Austin Militalo. And then also with Brandon, though, tell you what, this whole change is stepping up his game. Not just his additional training and everything else he's doing, the way he's traveling. It's changing his demeanor too. So he's not being so goody two shoes, and it's going to get him far.
Have you seen him in OVW lately?
Strictly business.
Oh yeah.
Just won the tag titles.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Like I said, he's going somewhere. I'm telling you.
Well, and he's got a big match next Saturday night at FanFest.
Yeah, that's right. Colton Vault is going to be challenging him next Sunday. Colton is he's more based out of around the Ozark Springfield area, I believe, right? With
Yes, sir.
Usually with mid states, I believe.
Yeah, does a lot of work with mid states. You know, there it was. I don't know if he's still their Missouri state champion or not. I know he was holding the title there for a while. But he does the MMA. He just came off of a tough match this weekend, and got a win. But boy, it was a tough one.
Oh boy, there's gonna be some skin smacking in that match.
Skin smacking.
Yeah. Well, and then another match we got Warhorse. I mean, I know you guys are familiar with Warhorse.
Yes. I'm pretty pumped for that. That dude's crazy.
I remember when he started with me when he was a gentleman, Jake Parnell. Came out with his top hat and a cane and a tuxedo on, and
he's kind of reverted back to somewhat with how his character is migrated back. So that's really cool about it. But that dude, that match that I watched him in where he split his jaw open. Oh,
crazy.
Whoa. Mad respect for him.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
What were you trying to say, Skylar?
I just had a question for Herb. I know you probably answered this a bunch of times, but when you started, did you just start out promoting, and what year did you start?
It's 1973, and I grew up as a fan like all of you did. I'm assuming that's why you're doing what you're doing here tonight. But I grew up in the housing projects in East St. Louis, Illinois, and watched at television what I think was probably the greatest of all times, Wrestling at the Chase. And watched it back in a black and white on a little black and white 12-inch TV. and fell in love with it. My mom was the glue that held us together, watching that every week, and she had the ones that she hated, like the Fritz von Erichs or the Killer Kowalskis and uh, people like that. And I kind of gravitated more to the Cowboy Bob Ellis's and Johnny Valentine's, and so we would sit there and argue who was going to win. But just growing up into it, getting to be, and I think Rick just kind of touched on it. You know, you happen to be at the right place at the right time. That door opens for you. And like I told Zmiz, you know, he's when he started off, he didn't have a pinky in it, but now I think he's got both feet planted, and it keeps going, and that's what happens. And you know, my first match was show was in Malden, Missouri. I don't know if you ever heard of that little town.
It's a very small town.
Small town, but look at it now. We still run small towns. You know, small towns are good because people don't have a lot to do. They're looking for some form of entertainment to come out, and I mean, it's just when Tony Costa and I started running the Boot Hills of Missouri, that's what we were hitting, those small town, and they were reaching out to us, you know, because of course we had some talent that I was hauling around back then. You know, Dick Murdoch and Crusher Blackwell, Greg Valentine made a lot of those trips with us, and then we had some of the guys out of St. Louis, Bull Brannigan, Jason Reeves. Dump truck Dave Perry, people like that. So we had a blend of, it's kind of like what I do now. You know, you got to know your demographics. That's why I started several years ago on our show, filtering in one of those old wrestling tapes, because people want to see the old with the new, and so it works good. And but yeah, and then you know, I kind of what Z just said. My first meeting with Sam Muchnick was. Larry Matisek took me to a dinner with him at the Fairmount Park racetrack. And as he's sitting there cutting his steak up, you know, he says, you know, Larry tells me you want to be in the business. And I said, yeah, but I don't want to be in there taking the bumps. You know, I want to learn more in depth of behind the scenes and the booking part of it. And he took that steak knife, and of course, back in the day, as Rick, you know, and it was a tough business. If you didn't do what was supposed to be done, or if you double crossed the promoter, there was a price you paid. And so I'm thinking, I've heard all those horror stories, and he held that knife, and I thought, man, wait a minute, am I fitting to get a real big education here? And he took and he pointed to his lips with that knife, and he said, you keep this shut. And he pointed to his ears and said, keep these open, and you'll go a long way in this business. And so that was great advice that I took. I tell people, don't take my kindness as weakness, because Sam was the same way. He ruled with an iron fist. That's why he was respected. He didn't go out there and beat his chest and demand it, but he knew the business. He knew what the fans wanted, and he did everything he could to give it to them. And I kind of like to think that that's what we've done here at SICW. I think it's, you know, I've always said it's like baking a cake. You got to have all the ingredients to make it rise and taste good. And so that's what I continue to try to do.
Yeah, because when I first started, I just started going to I'm sure you've heard of the Evansville Coliseum.
Sure.
Memphis territory. They just started every week doing shows down there. My uncle used to take me. So as a little kid, I always watched it every week. And then my friends started doing it as I think I was like 20 or 21 when I first started training. And then this went on for about 8 years. And I met so many legends. Like Lawler would always be there, Dirty Dutch, and I would always, talk to them. They'd give advice. And they basically said what you said, shut your mouth and just listen. I was like, yes, sir.
Yeah. And that's, and if you are an individual that you want to get respect, you got to give it. And Rick has been around my locker room now for several years, and I think he'll tell you that we run an open locker room to the fact where everybody jokes, they can rib each other, but it's a professional operation. I don't allow any cancer to be in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, somebody just stirring the pot up," well, I tell my booker that we gotta do something here, and and that's why I think kind of separates us I've got a booker. I got a guy who puts things together, and of course, I have the final say so. But he's the one that's he has to sell it to me, and then I have to trust him. If I go in and cut his legs off from underneath him, then I don't need him. I don't need a booker.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of that pressure off of me when it comes to the matches and stuff. So, yeah, I've always said if you're a promoter and if you're trying to do it all yourself, one of two things are going to happen. You're going to have a shitty product, or you're going to have a short-lived operation. Because if you're running one show a year or two shows a year, yeah, you can do that. But if you're running the shows and then trying to do a little TV like we do, it gets TV is a whole different animal. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm here to test that. Yeah. I mean, you have to have a little fun. Of course. Everybody wants to have a little fun, but don't get stupid. you know, if you don't know if you don't know what stupid is, it's either a good or a bad thing. If you don't know what it is. Then of course, you want to be professional because you want to make sure things are done right. So I'm here to test and be there that, yeah, what Herb's saying is 100% absolutely correct. And I've seen it, and I've seen people who missed out on opportunities who maybe didn't like what they saw, and they didn't even show up to a show.
Yeah. In fact, you mentioned the Evansville Coliseum.
Mm.
That's where you used to go to. You said.
Yes, sir.
So we're actually doing a show in June in Shawneetown, Illinois, and that whole area in southern Illinois used to go to the Coliseum. And in fact, that's when this will be our second or third year. I'm helping the fire department, and they have what's called a Coal Festival Day, and it's actually an all-weekend festival. But we'll be doing a wrestling show again this year, and I've got Wildfire Tommy Rich will be there against the Telecon in a Shawneetown street fight. But all those people down there, their parents, grandparents used to go over to the Coliseum and across the bridge and see Dutch Mantel and all of the regulars there.
Yeah, there's a lot of history down that locker room because, I've seen names, I've seen Andre the Giant mark his name, like a marker mark Ric Flair, all kinds.
Yeah. Well, and I tell that story up here. The only show that was ever produced at the Fox Theater, Larry Matisek and Sam Muchnick and I did that. And the Fox Theater, I don't know if you've ever been there, but the dressing rooms back, and again, this was back in the day, and this would have been in like 85, 86. And
I'd been a wee pup.
I'm sorry?
I said I would have been a wee pup.
Yeah. But anybody who ever performed there signed their name on the walls. And so we're standing there that afternoon and just looking at everything. And there was Marilyn Monroe, there was Jimmy Cagney, and Doris Day, and then you've seen King Kong Bruiser Brody. And then you see Simmons, Larry Matisek. So I'm sure they've redone all that by now, but it was just neat seeing all the names that the people who had W.C. Fields, names that you guys probably haven't heard of, but they were all.
I heard of him.
Yeah, but and I had a stat card that night. Kamala, the Ugandan Giant, was there. Crusher Blackwell, the gentleman Chris Adams, Bruiser Brody, the Fantastics. So. It was a all-star card, and then, like I said, they're all back there signing the walls. So,
I remember Dutch. I worked Dutch at a Legend show one time, and he told me that he ain't been to the Coliseum in 15 or 20 years. He says they ain't changed this place a bit. It looked exactly the same. And then we get inside the ring and we're locking up. He's like, "Kid, I ain't been in this ring in over 20 years, and all these fans still smell the same." I'm like, man.
and you're trying to keep from cracking up, and but one of the reasons why they do that is you probably was a little stiff at that time, or he probably felt it when you tied up, and that quick story. One of our guys, the Giant Assassin, Rick. I know you know him, and Joe Stibe, and a great guy, and he was such a big, strong guy. Brody always loved working him, but when he first started working him at Assumption High School, they get in there and they're tying up, and Frank's trying to tell him, "Hey, man, loosen up, loosen up." And of course, I'm in there with he's in there with Bruiser Brody. I'm bigger, larger than life. And about the second or third time, they're tying up, and you can see Frank's telling him. And the next time he locks him up, pushes him up against the rope, and he says, "Hey, when I take you over to the other side of the rope, look at the girl sitting in the front row. She hasn't got any panties on." And literally Joe goes, as he still got it. And Frank said from that point on, he said he was as loose as a feather, He said, I took the stress away from him.
Everything that's on the floor hasn't.
That's something like I would have seen like Triple H do, like if they would have whistled.
Yeah, one on the one by
the That's funny, dude. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh boy, Jason Static's in here. There's another young man that's done some work for me in the past. Jason Static.
Yeah, that's a man. I like
Yeah,
him.
yeah. Jason's a good man. Good man.
He helps us at IEW, and he's a good asset for learning.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna get to like some, because what we want to talk about here this week, because like I say, like you say, you change out the people that we've not had a fan fest before, and we've had some that are returning. We've got some good favorites, like one of our favorites, at least from me and Z, is Gerald Briscoe, that just comes in and just sits down and chats with us.
I met that man last week. He's hilarious.
I love Gerald.
Yeah, Gerald's coming, and then of course, Dan's coming back. Dan B. Severn's coming back. So he was there last year. He'll be here again.
Well, I don't know if I pissed off Gerald Briscoe or made him laugh when I met him the other day, because I had JBL tell that story where JBL pissed on the Oklahoma sign.
Well, yeah, those two guys, I'm helping them. I'm actually doing the wrestling show up in Waterloo, Iowa this year. And so we have a conference call about once a week, and JBL and Jerry get on there, and I'm telling you, I told them, I said, you guys, I know you got your podcast, but you guys if you don't take his show on the road, you're crazy. They will have me just busting my gut. When they get to, and
they need to.
Yeah, they would do great. And but Gerald is a great friend, and so Troy Peterson, a good friend of mine that runs the Impact Pro Wrestling up in that area, been doing it for 14 years, and he's kind of taking a little break. So they asked me to do it this year on July 19th. So we'll be taking the boys up there, and got some good talent up there that we're going to be using. But Gerald is, he was a St. Louis, him and his brother, and that's why we got Dory Funk Jr. coming in, because the Briscoes and Funk was a main feud for many years, not only in St. Louis but wherever they went, and they put butts in the seats, and so that's going to be a photo op with Dory and Jerry Briscoe being in the same building.
Oh yeah. Definitely. Especially back in the days.
If you see Gerald again, ask him about the steak that Herb Simmons bought him.
The steak.
The steak.
I think you might have told that story on their podcast. I listen to their podcast all the time at work when I'm working, and it's hilarious.
Their commercial for the Fan Fest where JBL.
And another unsolicited. They I told them, I said, hey, send me a promo and I'll put it on the show, and so it took I bet it was 3 weeks for me to get it, and Jerry is texting me and saying, hey, I thought you were going to play our commercial. And I said, hey, I thought you were going to send me one. I sent it to JBL, and I told him what to do, and he didn't do it. And then all of a sudden I get it one day, and then we put it right on. And the first time I seen it, I called him. I said, man, you guys don't have to make me sound like that. Heck, you deserve it, man. And I said, okay. So I put it on there. So they'll be playing it at my funeral, I think. So
I mean, you do deserve those flowers that them gentlemen said, in my opinion. But I'm also like Exodus said in our sit down conversation. He called me an historian, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I am. That's what I like about professional wrestling is the interconnecting of storylines from this person to this person over these generations and this generation, how this person copied this person. I love all of that. So yeah, you're right, 100%.
So if I had to give one piece of advice to you young guys, is man, save everything that you do. Collect all the photos that you can, because that's kind of what I made my mistake back when I was working with guys that I had coming in like Tojo Yamamoto, Gypsy Joe, Frank Morrell, Saul Weincroft's son George. I mean, back then, you didn't have the accessibility of your cell phone with a camera on it. You either had a Polaroid, and I didn't even have that back then. So there was a lot of those years that I didn't have pictures of these guys. But that's why I say now, I tell the fans at our shows, take all the pictures you want, but don't just take them home and throw them away on the counter. Take them and categorize them, put dates on them, because I'm telling you, 20, 30 years from now, when you're older, you're going to be sitting there going, man, I wish I knew where this was taken at, I mean, I got a good collection of stuff, but if I'd have started back when I first started, man,
Hall of Fame book.
I'd have had more than I know. I mean, I got enough now that would be a large bonfire for my wife, but she's not going to know what to do with it.
Large bonfire.
But again, I just wish I'd have done a lot more of it. So, Z, I would tell you, because you are on that track of being that local historian. You're kind of like the Drew Ebbinghouses and the Ben Simons of the St. Louis.
Well, them two great guys too.
Well, yeah, too, and I don't say that lightly. I mean, I have and again, I don't brag, but when I do, I tell people I'm going to brag a little bit. I have the act of knowing good people and seeing things in them, and that's why my locker room is as it is. I want people who come and do their job. I want people who understand that. Don't quit your day job for this business unless you are able to get one of those main stages, because as we all know, in what we're doing, there's not a lot of money involved in it. I would love to be able to pay each and every guy that laces up his boots and girls what they deserve, but you got to be able to justify that. But I tell everybody, follow your dream, and some of you guys have caught it, and some of you will even catch it and live it further. But don't fall asleep at the wheel. It's like I said, I've had in-depth conversation with Drew, my ring announcer, and he understands that he's got to get moving on doing some things, because he is a local historian. I think he's a researcher.
Yeah, I mean,
and Ben. And the thing if you don't misspell a word wrong, because Ben will call you out on it quicker than rain. So that's what Ben does. So spelling wasn't my strong suit, Ben, come on. So, but no,
spelling's not my strong either.
Great guy. He filled in a couple shows ago when after Drew had some personal issues going on, and then he did some TV for me, and I want to put him and Drew together on TV a couple of different times, because I think they'd be a great guy. I'd love to have you come down, Z, and sit in and call some action, because I think the more you do that, the better you're going to get.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And there's conversations that want to be had, but that's for another day. Let's get to talking about some of these great legends, like Mr. That rookie Big Texan is telling us is coming into the FanFest 3 this year. I love you, Big Texan. I do. That's my dude.
Oh, is Big Texan on here?
Yeah, he's in here chiming in tonight. He wants to get me in the Battle Royale, and I'm not. I don't know, but I told you I don't wrestle. I just talk a lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
Well, like I said, this was just announced tonight with Jerry the King Lawler coming in, and like I said, because it's just amazing how and we're going to get to a lot of these names that like within this last month have just been pulled out of just like nowhere. Like, oh my gosh, we wouldn't even thought about some of these guys that are coming in just for this. And
You know how long it took me to get Jerry Lawler
how long?
This morning.
this morning.
Oh,
I knew
After the announcement of Sabu, I wanted to make sure, I wanted to make sure that one, when that news came in, I got it and I called Bill Apter and Bill Alfonso, because I know their closeness with him. Bill was just with him last week and so was Fonzie. And Bill hadn't heard about it. Fonzie was, and he had just got the call from RVD. But so after a couple hours of people calling and getting it confirmed, I thought to myself, I got to do something. People were coming to want to see Sabu, so I wanted to replace him with somebody. And so another good friend of mine, I called him and he says, "Hey, we'll get Jerry." And sure enough, that's why I was able to announce him today.
yeah. And it's just some sad news. I mean, I guess details have not really been present yet because it's still too new.
It never comes out the day of unless it's like a car wreck or something.
Well, I mean,
But
that's right. I mean, we just have to say, but the guy who's only 60 years old,
yeah,
um,
and he just had his last match what, a month ago?
Yeah, just retired.
Yeah.
yeah, Joy
Well,
Janelle's
according to the last podcast he did, he wasn't done yet because there was a lot of stuff he didn't get it finished in that match.
Of course, guys, as you know, there's really no retiring in this team. Even if he retired from in the ring, he'd have still been doing the appearances, and somebody would have drug him back in for another last match. How many last matches does Ric Flair had? So. But back to Jerry Lawler. I've worked with Jerry before. We've had him in. He was in Belleville with us. I've been down in Tennessee when I worked with my late friend Bert Prentice a lot down there. And so Jerry, Jerry's will do good for the fans. He'll come in and and he's a notable person on television for many, many years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to meet him at the Spooktacular, actually.
Yeah.
That's where I'm
So he's been down around the area before, but he's not been at the Fan Fest.
No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. And that's the thing to piggyback on what you were talking about. It would be nice to have all new people, no repeats, but there's just not a lot of guys out there doing a lot. Some of them's got older. Some of them don't want to travel anymore. Some of them have other schedules they're doing. So, we had to filter in some new, and then we had to bring in some that's been at the last couple of them, So
there's nothing wrong with that because, I mean, there might be some guys or some fans that didn't get to go to the show last year that wanted to see those same people. So
that's correct. Yeah. And that's what you got to look at. Yeah.
I don't know which, out of the three so far, okay, we haven't even got this one really on the book yet, but just from the catalog of people that you currently have on the book in the last two, which one is going to be the one that had the most potential, I guess?
Of the first two?
Yeah, because this year, I feel like you guys have outdid yourself greatly this year. And I remember last year, if not mistaken, Mr. Herb Simmons was like, "Oh, we're not doing a third one. No, we're not doing a third one." And here you are.
We're not going to do a fourth one. And so, did you hear my message about 3 minutes ago? You never really retired from this. Somebody else will do it. Maybe somebody like a Zmiz and a Ruby will pick up this ball and run with it, or the Big Texan. And I got a birthday coming up in July, and we've got shows booked. I got people calling into next year wanting shows booked. So sooner or later, it's like a car. The gas tank goes dry, and you can go to the gas station and fill it up. But unfortunately, with our bodies, you can go get an energy drink, but I don't know if that works too good either. But I think that out of the first two, I mean, when you stop back and think, we had some different guys. Stan the Lariat Hansen was with us
Yep.
first time. People like that. Coco Beware. Um,
I'm still mad I didn't get to get a picture with him.
so, I mean, it's hard for me to judge because I'm not, and I don't want to say I'm still not a fan, but I'm more than. It's more of a friendship with these guys than a business thing. Like I said, that's why I'm able to call these guys and say, hey, I need this, I need that. I'm not doing it because I'm a fan. I'm doing it because I think the fans will enjoy this one or that one. So when you're trying to piece these type of events together, you have to look at your demographics. And if you look at what we're doing this year, we've got something a little bit for everybody. Whatever years that you were the wrestling when you started, if you were in the early ages, the Jerry Briscoes are there, the Abdullah the Butchers. And then as you move along, then you get the Tito Santanas, and we're all the way up into the Rikishis and people like that. The ECWs, the Shane Douglases, the Bill Alfonso, and of course we had Sabu until today. And yes, that's him.
Yeah.
That's him right there. And so and that's what you have to do when you're trying to put something like that together. I mean, when we announced Rikishi, I mean, my phone and internet. I mean, because look at what's happening with his family. Everybody's, hey, is Herb going to pull another surprise, or are we going to have one of his family members show up? Well, guess how? You got to find out. You got to be there, just kind of like with Randy Orton. Sometimes there's subliminal messages that get sent out there, but you try to put that together when you're putting a show of this magnitude together. I extended the olive branch out there. I know Jason Jones from down in Springfield and Arkansas. He's helping out. I think Searcher from ACW is going to make it up. I have Miss Hyde booked on the card. She's going to be taking on Lilith Khan.
Oh, that match is going to be amazing.
RCW Redneck Championship Wrestling, John Roberts, he took the invitation. We extended that olive branch and said, hey, come on out. Shane Walters from Midwest Wrestling Coalition is going to be there promoting his group. He's a newly formed promotion over in Glen Carbon area. And so if they didn't take advantage of the invite, that's on them, but the olive branch was extended out there. And I want everybody, just think if everybody took advantage of a group like this, organization thing, it could be bigger and better. Instead of, just one or two of us trying to pull the people together and get the fans in there, because that's what it's about. It's about promoting your product. And, if you got a chance to come in front of a captive audience and you don't take it, there ain't nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
Rikishi.
So Herb, I got a question for you. It kind of rolls into the fan fest and maybe when promoting shows, but every chance I had asked somebody who's been through the business, like I met Shawn Michaels, which was my all-time favorite, and I asked him what was the hardest part about the business for him, and I want to ask you that question.
The hardest part of the business on somebody like a Shawn Michaels is because, he was a worker. Being a promoter myself, it comes with a different headache. Being the promoter, I have to, one, worry about how everything's going to be paid for. Where a worker worries about how am I going to get paid, how much am I going to get paid. Is basically should be one of their top concerns. But promoter has a lot. You got to worry about getting the right insurance. You got to be worried about getting a building to work with. If you don't take care of that building, you're not going to be there long. And there have been promotions out there that don't look at that, and they're only in the building one time and they're gone because they tore the building up or something of that nature. So you got to run it like a professional business, and that's why I think being the promotional part of it is so important, because without that part of the ingredients, you don't have it. And that's why I said it's like baking a cake. You got to have that good location, you got to have the good talent, and you got to have a good fan base to pull from. And I know this discussion has been forever and ever, and it probably will continue. I think one of the problems that a promotion has is oversaturation. All of us say our product is the best. We have the best show, we have the best workers, and that's okay. But we all know that's not true sometimes. I say it. I think based on what I have in my locker room, pound for pound experience. I got guys in there trained by Harley Race, people who went to Dory Funk School, uh, things like that. It means a lot to a promoter when you're trying to put an organization together. That's one of the first things I ask when somebody says, "Hey, can I come to work for you?" Well, where have you been trained at? And now if they say, "Well, I haven't really officially been trained," and that's what I was talking about earlier with Chris, the way they started out, they got a bad rap over that. But now look at them. Here 5 years, however many years it's been, the progress that they've made. That's okay. That should not exclude you from having that opportunity. What I tell them is okay, let's talk about getting better trained, and then we'll definitely have a place for you. Go to the Dory Funk's training school, the conservatory, or go to the Ace Wrestling Academy, or go to the WLW, and let people evaluate you, let them see, because anybody who's training, and from being in the business, you're going to know within the first 5 minutes the potential somebody has. Now, again, that should not eliminate them, because we've had guys come into the Ace Academy. I remember when Brandon Bretta walked in there, he was a chunky little kid, and guys were going, "Wait a minute, is he ever going to get his cardio worked up? Is he going to get?" Now look at him. I mean, he's
shredded.
He's yeah. So you can't it's and that's where a promoter has to say, have trust in your booker. And I'd be willing to bet most organizations don't even know what a booker is or what they should be doing. Most promoters try to do it all themselves. Well, I'd be bald if I was trying to do it. So nothing against you, Ruby, but
What?
you just have to. The promoter's job is not as easy as some people think it is.
Because like
the worker has to go out there and take the bumps and do this and do that, and that's tough. That's why I don't do it. But on the other hand, the hardest part of the promotion is trying to make all of that come together to make sense to our fans and be able to have longevity. And after 52 years, I've had to do something right. And I have generation after generation after generation I've got people that's been coming to the shows for 40 years, the Bullions, Peggy, Menders. I grew up with that whole family in the Roosevelt homes in East St. Louis, Illinois. But their mom and dad and their generation after generation have followed our shows. And they go to all these other shows too. They are diehard wrestling fans, and isn't that what we want?
Right.
Without fans, we wouldn't be sitting here talking tonight.
Yeah, because I got the main answer I got from a lot of guys who've been in the business with a lot for that many years, or maybe a little bit shorter. A lot of times said politics was the main thing that was the hardest part.
I don't do politics.
Yeah,
I've been in politics. I've been the mayor for almost 50 years, but I like to consider myself a public servant other than a politician. I'm here to serve the public, and that's kind of the same way in this business. Mm-hmm. The only politics that gets involved in this is if you want to get into a territorial war. And Z and I have talked about this, the old 25-mile rule. Mm-hmm. I took all the heat. The alligators were chomping at my butt over that thing. And it wasn't me that came up with that rule. It was my locker room. In fact, several people in the locker room wanted it to be 50 miles. And I'm the one. In fact, I know right where that we had a meeting. I took them out to dinner one night over at Murphy's bar. And we were sitting there eating pizza and chicken wings and having some drinks when that whole deal came up. And I said, nope, 50 miles is too far. Let's go with 25. And I took it, and I still take it to this day because it does not make sense to the average person, especially the fan, that if I take Austin and you're my big baby, and next weekend, 5-10 miles down the road, you're that next company's big heel. We're probably in the same audience, in front of the same people.
Yep.
I've seen that happen. I've had fans say, I saw so-and-so work at this company, and over here he's doing this. So I also say, yeah, the toothpaste has been out of the tube, but why in the world do we want to continue to squeeze the tube? We said early on, let's keep that mystique out there. Let's, it's like the movie. I mean, I want to sit on the edge of the seat and say, oh man, where's it at? Where's that climax? I want to see that ending, If I know what the ending is, I'm going to be sitting back eating popcorn probably.
Yeah. Thank you.
There is Texan. There is no way in double hockey sticks I'm asking Dr. D if wrestling is that, because I don't even think wrestling is that. I will fight people, and I'm just the journalist.
Well, Dr. D is another story. Believe me, he's a great individual, and we talk all the time. And the thing about him is he wants to talk at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's most of the time because he goes to bed at, at 6 o'clock in the evening, and his wife, I tell you. So, but Dr. D is a great guy, a guy that got screwed royally, almost lost everything he built up, and because of the business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Thanks, Herb, for answering those questions. I was just curious what you thought.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
My wife.
I don't know if I answered them for you, but
You did.
Thank you.
So the first year we came to the Fan Fest, one of my big tickets that I wanted to get, and I got to get it, and I got to do it with my son, who him and I both are a fan of this man, and this man also just recently went into the Hall of Fame this year for WWE, and that is Frank, or Typhoon. We are big fans of his, so we got autographed wrestling fig and photo taken with him. Gonna say for me forever. This year, though, Chase finds out that Matt Riddle, the bro of all bros, is showing up, and he about lost it because then my wife's like, "I'm getting a photo with Matt, no questions asked." And Chase is like, "But I want to go." So this is one of our big stokes right now. Is the King of Bros? I want to be a stallion.
Yeah, there you go. Well, and like I said, it's if you can't find something on this fan fest, I don't know what kind of wrestling fan you are. I mean, there's something, like I said, from everybody. You Rock and Roll Express, Missy Hyatt, Baby Doll, Jacqueline, Abdullah the Butcher. He was there last year with us. Texan got to babysit him for a while, and I can imagine what that conversation was like. But
Rock and Roll Express got some stories that you can't be told on screen.
No, they don't. Kevin Von Erich coming back. He was born in Illinois over at St. Elizabeth's Hospital in Belleville when the hospital was still there. But Dory Funk Jr., we just added him. And this is his last trip to the Midwest. He won't be coming back. I mean, his wife has basically made that clear. That's why I put that out there, that if you are a Dory Funk Jr. fan, you need to be coming and seeing him, because otherwise you're going to be going to Ocala, Florida, or he won't be coming back to the Midwest. So,
Yep. I wish I could have met Terry, though. That was definitely one I wanted to meet, too. Him and his brother.
Yeah, Terry, I did some car trips with Terry. one of the last ones I did was down to Cape Girardeau, Missouri, when that organization was Cape Championship Wrestling was
Yeah.
operating, and I had him and Bob Wharton in the car, and woo, man, you ever been in those cars with those guys? And I don't know if you have, but it's one of those deals where you want to set the cruise control at about 30 miles an hour on the interstate, and just so you can take longer to get where you're going, because the stories are so intense and I mean, just great.
I when I had to get God, of course now I'm going to forget his name because you want to do it right when you Alan. I know you're in the chat. Remind me. Thought we had him on the show, Ruby.
That ain't helping anything. But you've had a lot of guys on the show.
Yeah. I brought him on the show. Ricky.
Oh, you talking about Ricky Reyes?
Ricky Reyes, yes. So Alan, when we booked RCW up here, they booked Ricky Reyes to come in and do a seminar and stuff. And Alan calls me and goes, "Hey, you know Quincy, I trust you. Blah blah blah. Will you go get him from the airport and bring him back?" When I went and got him, like, for one, starstruck, because definitely a fan. Pitbulls, heck yeah, ROH. But for two, this is a guy that I've sat and listened and just studied his, like, how he thinks or believes in wrestling and all that kind of stuff, and somebody I believe in. So him and I are driving back to Quincy and down Broadway. It's just main straight shot, boom, then you're at the hotel. I was legitimately thinking the whole time, like, how many times can I make a turn? Does he think it's like, how many times can I make a wrong right turn and then get to the hotel just to have a little more time? But yeah, yes. Yeah. Ricky Reyes is the bomb.
Yeah, it's just we did had Bob Wharton down in Jackson, Tennessee one night for Bert and myself and my guy. It wasn't our show. I just had to take Bob down there for a show, and on the way back we had to find some Heineken, and man. There was one night that it should have took us maybe 5 hours, and I think it took us 8. And I mean, because it was just one story after another with him and Roddy Piper, and the incident in California with him and Morocco and Roddy, and I mean, each time, and Bob's got it arranged now to where he can use the big cigarette lighter and open up the Heineken, So, yeah, so it's it gets quite interesting, but those stories are just fabulous to hear from these guys, and that's why on Friday night, May 16th, we're going to have that question and answer session with Mr. Bill Apter, and so the fans will get to ask some questions and get some answers, and there'll be more BS floating around that room that night than you can shake a stick at, probably.
The scariest locker room that I've been in was with Ricky Morton and Jerry Lawler, the same one. That was some scary shit right there.
I don't know how.
I'm just sitting in the corner, just like trying not to laugh so damn hard. I'm sitting like, oh no, no.
Yeah. Ricky he's a little ribster.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's one man that won me over. Like, I was cool with the Rock and Roll Express when I was a fan, but then, like, as I got into the business and learned more about him and I've watched his thinking, and now his son coming up too, that's changed. But at the Spooktacular, I think I've said this story before, and I'm going to say it again because it's one of my favorite stories. But he legitimately won my wife and I over as we're waiting in line to get Sergeant Slaughter. He's like, why don't you come over here and hang out with us? And so they started talking, and then we're like, yeah, you know what? Let's go get a photo of Robert Gibson and Ricky Morton because they were so fun to, like, talk to. And we stood there for a good 45 minutes with those two guys.
Well, I remember Ricky Morton. We was on a battle royal, and he's getting ready to eliminate me. And as he's running to throw me out, he's like, "Hey kid, say hi to that fat girl down there in the front row for me when you land." I laid my face down for a good 3 minutes, just cracking up, and then I finally got up. And then I pointed. I was like, "Hey," he said, "Hi."
Well, you did what he asked you to. Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah,
that's incredible. Yeah. So I mean, me personally, Kevin's going to be one of my favorites to come in. I mean, that's the historian in me because
Mhm.
these are guys that I grew up watching through syndication as well. When they were coming through with St. Louis, and of course Kevin, obviously with wrestling at the Chase as well. Um, coming up, many Von Erichs came up from Texas to wrestling at the Chase. One thing, and what I wanted to bring up here is we're talking about all the guys that are coming in. Um, and when we've got some more here, I'll probably be tagging on here shortly. But let's kind of talk a minute, if we can, about this with the St. Louis Wrestling
Yes.
Hall of Fame. Dory was actually just recently added on to this list as far as the class going in. Uh, so we got, of course, Greg the Hammer Valentine will be there. Dory Funk Jr. will be there, of course, like I said, and of course, remembering the other four that are going to be inducted with Ox Baker, Jerry the Crusher Blackwell, Ivan Koloff, and then of course the late great Butch Reed will be inducted as well. So, um, as far, I mean, and the thing is just how St. Louis Wrestling's because there's a lot of guys that's come through the years, and there's still more great names to just even that are not even recognized yet, but um to see now Nikita Koloff's coming in to accept the award for Ivan this year. So, your thoughts on Nikita Koloff coming in this year for SICW FanFest 3? Another guy I used to watch a lot growing up on the TV as well.
Yeah, Nikita will be there. Another great individual that we lucked out with Ivan being inducted to get Nikita to come in to be there to accept that. And I just wanted to clarify, that's actually Dory Funk Senior that is being inducted.
Oh, okay. Thank you,
Yeah,
senior. Thank you.
yeah, and
I didn't
and
mess that up.
that was a mistake that should have been corrected several years back. But when we got the okay that Dory was Junior was gonna come in, we said, well, Terry and Dory Junior are both in the Hall of Fame. So we are going to put his father Senior in because when I go back and look at the records, because I think I've told you before, Rick, I've got all the records from St. Louis Wrestling at the Chase that tells me how many matches these guys had, who they won against or lost against. And I've got all the programs. The oldest one dates back to 1932, even
Mm,
before Wrestling at the Chase. But Dory Funk Sr. was a big part of the early years of Wrestling at the Chase. So it's only fitting that he takes his spot with his sons, Dory and Terry. Um, so it's kind of like Bob Orton. We inducted him because his dad was in there, and he was on the first wrestling show of Wrestling at the Chase back in 1959. So yeah, the Von Erichs are in there. So, but to answer, yeah, but to Nikita, yeah, I think it's great. Ivan had some great times here in St. Louis. And of course, he went on to even do better and bigger things, you might say, throughout his career. It was one tough cookie himself when him and Nikita, Nikita gives his uncle a lot of credit for his career. So we're really excited about Nikita coming in and to take that honor of accepting that award.
and the man that ended Bruno Sammartino's longest like championship
Mhm.
run in the McMahon or the whole territory up there with the then WWF. Ivan ended that, and then of course didn't have that long before I believe it was Pedro Morales defeated him for that too.
Right.
For that same
So, yeah.
title.
And we've got a lot of people, and I don't know if you've looked at the Hall of Fame lately, but we have a lot of people. I think we're going to be after this group. We'll be up just under 60 great legends that's been inducted into that Hall of Fame over the years. And the one thing, and I get periodically people will say, well, why isn't so and so here in St. Louis in the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame? Well, when we started that Hall of Fame years ago, Larry Matisek was very adamant about the fact that, we have to make sure those who are being inducted, we can justify the reasons why if we have to, not that we need to, but to be fair about it. In fact, the first group that went in, we let the fans do it for us. And boy, you talk about it. That's one of those headaches, Austin, I was talking about in the promotional part of it. I mean, because that was a nightmare. You talk about everybody's opinions, and I told Larry, look, this is getting to be like a full-time job, and I'm not in it for that. So, so then we went to the checking out the stats, and who had the most matches, who helped generate the most attendance records, because I've got all the attendance records and how much was drawn on each gate. So so that kind of made it simplified, and I've kind of lived by that since. But periodically, and then I get somebody, well, why isn't Joe so and so that wrestled at South Broadway, or he wrestled for you, and or they wrestled over here? Well, there's other Hall of Fames out there that have been created, and those people are getting their just dues. So we're trying to keep this St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame as pure as possible. No limousine drivers, things of that sort. If you want to talk about movie stars being in it, we've got movie stars in this one. Terry Funk starred in the movie Roadhouse and a few other ones. And so Vince can't say that he's the only one that had a Hall of Fame with movie stars in it. He'll have the only one because he put his limo driver in there too, I think. But when you look at this class that's going in here now, I'll argue with anybody that says that there isn't anybody on that flyer that should not be in the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Herb, I know this is a random question, but you were just talking about the Von Erichs. Did you ever work with the Freebirds?
With Michael Hay and Terry Bam Bam Gordy, when they were working for Bill Watts, and I was doing co-production with him, I would book towns in Southern Illinois, Sparta, Illinois. We had him at the high school. I loved. I was more friends with Bam Bam than I was with Michael Hayes. But we used them, several times throughout the Southern Illinois and down in Missouri when they were working for Bill Watts.
Okay.
And
I
then,
know that was random.
and then when Larry started his promotion, we had we had Bruiser Brody, Nikolai Volkov, people like that, and we had just brought in the Von Erichs there, and they were going to set up that same Freeburg Von Erich feud up here as they had in Texas going on then. And of course, the TV fell apart, and we never did get to do that.
Okay. Yeah, because that was one of the greatest feuds ever with those two families.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
Oh, man. And also taking a look here, like, who was the look? Ox Baker. Yeah, Ox Baker. The funny thing I seen about Ox Baker, though, is a couple of years ago that I never knew, because one of the things I liked to watch back when I was growing up, too, was game shows. Well, before I started watching game shows, going back in there, apparently Ox Baker got on to an episode of The Price is Right.
Come on down.
Yeah.
So, Ruby, you were there for the original one, wasn't
you? Come on down.
Yeah, not quite, but it wasn't even boring yet. But nice trying.
Yeah, he was on that, and of course, he also starred in the Escape from New York movie.
I do remember that.
Did you guys know that?
I actually did know that.
Yeah, he starred in that movie, and Ox done a lot of work for me. Bruiser Brody is the one that actually introduced me to him, and then we I don't like to use the word fell in love, but I just enjoyed the hell out of Ox. In fact, he was with us the month before he passed away, and I've got a video, audio and video of him sitting on the ring singing his song that he wrote of the Hillbilly Wrestler. and just a great guy. We had him at Fairmont. One of the few bumps that hits I took was from Ox Baker at the Fairmont Park racetrack. I was at ringside, and of course, anybody who knows me, if I'm doing much of anything, I'm always in a shirt and a tie or a coat, because Sam always said you not only have to be the part, you got to look the part. And Sam was that way. And unless he was at Dick the Bruiser's house for a barbecue, he might have a shirt on. But if he was doing business, he was in a shirt and a tie, and played the professional part of it. But so I'm at ringside on a Sunday afternoon. We had a show. The grandstands are full, and it's Bruiser Brody against Ox Baker at the Fairmont Park horse track. And they get into their finish area time and throws Ox outside the ring, and I'm standing right at ringside by the timekeeper's table. And he grabs me by my tie, and man, he hauls off and puts a haymaker on me, and knocks me into the ring and knocks my glasses off. And of course, they had to get dressed in the tack room where the jockeys dressed at. And there's all the horse gear in there, the reins, and hanging on the walls. And it's a small room. And so match gets over with. By the time I get the cobwebs shaken out of my head, I go walking back there, staggering back there. And as I walk in the door, I hear him. He's just laughing. It's the funniest thing I've heard. And Brody is sitting in there, and Larry's in there, and Ox says, I don't know who it was, but there was some SOB standing there at ringside, and I clobbered the hell out of him. Well, people didn't know he was almost mine. And so Frank Brody says, you dumbass, that was Herb. You probably worked for free tonight. And man, he started apologizing, and but just things like that. Ox was great. And then Butch Reed, the last professional match she had was with SICW. So,
Zach, pull up that bottom question by Alan.
Andrea the Giant, who is also known as Nicola Roberts, baby doll. If we're talking about Andrea the Giant, that I felt kind of that was a little some of the characters were playing the words off of others here, and that was only
Andre
saw
the Giant there. Yes, Andre. Yeah, Andre worked in St. Louis. But Andre was that special attraction guy. He was never a regular. Because in fact, that's the other thing that over the years, I even quit trying to argue with people, because I'd have fans say, I used to watch Andre on Wrestling at the Chase all the time when he was there. Well, first of all, Andre never, ever, listen to me, never, ever made an appearance at Wrestling at the Chase. If he would have, they'd had to eliminate about 100 fans in that studio audience because he was so big. And it was a studio setting. Now, and then I finally probably thought what they meant is when Sam would take off during the summer months and they would bring tapes in from out of the area, syndicated tapes, they would have tapes of Andre from time to time. But he never made a physical appearance at Wrestling at the Chase in the studio.
That's
you heard it from the horse's mouth. If Andre never came down, he never came down. So,
but he was at Kiel Auditorium. He was at the Checker Dome, and then we would take him over to a place in Belleville called English's Bar and Grill. And Sam would always take him out of the immediate area because there were so many times if you took him somewhere locally, somebody would religiously want to challenge him, and Andre was not the guy that you would want to challenge.
My dad had a photo of Andre the Giant walking out of the Checker Dome in like the hallway. I don't know where he got it or how he got it from, but he showed me that once. And then that's one of the things about Quincy. Like if we ever did a show up here again, I would love to do it at the Notre Dame High School because that's where all of them were done in the pit because we never had wrestling when I was a kid up here. But my teacher would tell me about it and how Andre the Giant was down in our pit and stuff. And his name's actually on the wall. It was at one time.
Dick the Bruiser was there. People like that appeared in Quincy, Illinois. They went all the way up to Des Moines, Iowa. We ran shows up there. So that was kind of a territory. That was, even though Sam's territory was St. Louis, he let Bob Brown and Grace and those guys do what they called the road shows, those small towns, and they more or less took care of that. But Sam gave them their blessing. I saw you had another gentleman there, Steve Murphy, another a great individual that knows a lot about the wrestling business. So
Steve's the wise one.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Steve's a good guy.
Me and Steve go back quite a ways here too. When I first got in the business, and so yeah, and of course, me and Steve have known each other throughout the years too. Even after that, so yeah. Much love, Steve, for chiming in here tonight, and and watching. Another guy here though, which of course to me way overdue.
Yes.
Missouri, raised him and born. The guy I actually was privileged to be in the ring with one time was none other than Hacksaw Butch Reed.
Doom number 2.
Yeah, yeah. So I was privileged to be in the ring with him, and of course, it seemed like a really awesome guy to work with here too. With Butch Reed.
You know what his other level was besides professional wrestling?
Football. No?
Rodeo.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't he have like a ranch?
I forgot about that.
Loved doing the rodeo work. Yeah, and
I
I like
Warrensburg, I believe, or something.
And what I like about his family will be in with us to accept the honors. His sisters and brothers are coming in. And then Ox Baker's daughter, Megan, is going to be with us there for the FanFest. So I'm excited about that.
Because Doom was the tag team that Teddy Long, after he went from referee to manager, correct?
Him and Ron Simmons.
Yeah, him and Ron Simmons with the team.
I met Ron Simmons a couple weeks ago. That dude's cool as hell.
One of my favorite tag teams.
Yeah. Ron's awesome, people.
I was out in Vegas with Ron. What year? 2 years ago, we did the show, I guess, at wrestling at the Chase Park Plaza, and we had a show booked there, and I had one person booked that couldn't make it, and I'm in Vegas when I get the call about that, and so I'm calling the people in charge of the event at the Chase, and we were going to do a Sunday afternoon private show there, and they said, well, who are we going to get? I said, well, I'm out here at Vegas. I said, I got a host of people here, so I gave them some names, and they said, well, see if you can get it. I said, I got JBL here, and I got Ron Simmons, and I named a few other ones, and they said, well, see if you can get Ron Simmons. And so I went and found Ron, and I made the deal with him, and I called the people back. And in fact, the ironic part of that was the Koppler family owned the Chase Park Plaza back in the day. Harold Koppler, and his grandson was who was doing this special event, and he asked me to put it on, the wrestling part of it. So it was kind of a unique tie-in with the Koppler family. And so I got Ron a payday out of that and came in. I had him and Jimmy Hart there together, and it was a great, and Bob Orton. So I had a trifecta that day for him.
Oh, man. And a guy that's been around a couple times here, and but the first time at the FanFest is, of course, WWE Hall of Famer Greg the Hammer Valentine coming in, and this for me once again was bringing the childhood all together, because I remember watching when I first started watching in '84 on a religious basis. I'm seeing the feud between Tito and Greg develop out of WWF over the Intercontinental Championships, and of course, Tito will be there as well. So Greg getting the honors this year, and being inducted into the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Greg's another one that, when you look back at the stats, had a good run in St. Louis for many years, and of course, his father Johnny Valentine was a mainstay in St. Louis, and I remember back in the days, Shaquille Auditorium, when Johnny was announced on a card, he would make that long walk from behind that black curtains off the stage and down the aisle, and he'd wear that long red ring robe, and he would literally get in the ring and put his hands on his hips and do a 360 to an ovation for about 5 minutes from the fans, and just really knew how to melt the crowd. And once he took that robe off, and whether it was against somebody like a Keller Kowalski or a Moose Sholok or whoever, he was going to end up putting a brainbuster on him without a doubt. And Greg comes along, and just as tough. And I had him on a show up at the Alton Bell Casino, and Jerry Briscoe was with us there, and I had Jerry at ringside in the corner as a second, but it turns into a big fiasco, and it was a match, and then him and Jerry both get in there and put the figure 4 on the other two guys, and so Greg does a good job anytime I've ever had him in. So, but when you look at the stats, Greg needs to be in there alongside of his father in the Hall of Fame.
I can't
Absolutely. And of course, yeah, I mean, what could be said about one of the most dominating big men to hit many territories and making his impact? None other than one of the with a guy who was pretty agile for his size too, with Jerry the Crusher Blackwell.
Yep, from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Another great individual that former Missouri state champion. Another guy that, as you said, could do a standing drop kick like no other big man that I've ever seen do before. And him and Bruiser Brody fought each other, and they teamed together. I mean, it was a love-hate relationship with them guys, but he was another one that Brody actually introduced me to, and we fell into a good relationship as far as business went. And anytime I needed him, if he was available, I mean, it was just a phone call away. I mean, I remember we had a show out in Centralia, Illinois, and we were in a van. A guy named Bull Brannigan, who was a local guy that wrestled. Rick, I know you remember him. He was at South Broadway for many years and did a lot of work for me, but he's driving his Dodge van, and I had Jerry Blackwell, Bruiser Brody, Dick Murdoch, Larry Matisek, and myself in there. And man, there's some things that took place in the car that night and talked about that. I'm afraid the statute of limitations hasn't expired yet, but to have those individuals in there, and I mean, I remember looking at Larry, and he's shaking his head, and at one time I'm thinking, what in the heck am I doing in this car? I mean, you talk a kid at a candy shop. I'm telling you, it was just.
I want to get one of those cars,
man.
Oh,
you know, you reach a point where you think, is this real? You know, you're pinching yourself. You know, these are guys that you heard about and you saw, and they're larger than life. And then all of a sudden you're driving down the road with them, it's great, or you pick a guy up like Jimmy Hart and pick him up at the airport, and you're driving him 4 miles down to the Evansville, Indiana line on the Illinois side. And, of course, his worry is you're going to run out of gas and another one, Tony Atlas, man, if you put Tony Atlas in your car, you better have a full tank of gas, or you're stopped at the first gas station you see. And it gets about a quarter, less from a half. It gets 3/4. He's wanting to stop again because he said, big boy, he said, I've ran out of gas a lot of times, and they just don't want to pick a brother up out on the road.
Well, then Mr. Tony Atlas would have a problem riding with me in my Volkswagen because my gas gauge doesn't work.
Yeah, Tony's a great guy.
I think one of the funniest terms I overheard was, "Thank God we didn't have the cell phone videos back then, like during all the road stories, because JBL say we would have been in some shit if they would have had."
Yeah, I'm telling you that those guys are lucky. I mean, and the thing that I really, some people you talk to will say, "Oh, well, that stuff don't happen." But, when you hear these guys and you travel with them quite a bit, and those stories never change, those are true stories, man. You can tell when somebody's telling a story and they're just embellishing it or something. But, I mean, these guys can tell you, they may not be able to tell you what they had for breakfast in the morning, but because of so many shots they've taken to the head, but they can sure tell you about those trips when, they got locked out of their hotel room naked and because they was going from one room to another, stuff like that. But
It was
and-
that or taking so many shots, like drinking.
yeah, yeah.
I heard,
But
heard
it's
Jack Daniels was the best one.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, very early in my career, there have been shots to the head followed by shots at the bar. So there's
There you go. And that's the group. That's the group going into the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame for 2025, and we have a couple other honorees we're doing. Teddy Long will get the Lifetime Achievement Award this year.
Yep.
Very well deserving. And of course, Ron Powers. All of us should know Ron. Ron did a lot of traveling with Blackwell and Brody and Murdoch, and did a lot of work up at Windy City Wrestling and all over the country. Went to Japan with Brody a couple of different times. And he'll be receiving the Sam Muchnick Award this year. And then Danny Boy Hawkins, another one that traveled with Ron quite a bit on those trips and made a name for himself. I remember when he first walked into South Broadway Athletic Club, he weighed about $1.25. And I asked Tony, what's this? And he said, it's going to be one of our next workers. And I said, what the hell are you going to do with him? And lo and behold, he another one of those smaller guys. But man, you talk about somebody who can move. If you ever get a chance, go in and look up Danny Boy on YouTube, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
oh man, yeah.
He's going to receive the Larry Matisek Award this year.
You say that again? Who is?
Danny Boy Hawkins.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So Danny's receiving the Larry Matisek Award this year.
Yep.
Yeah. And they both came out of retirement for me last November when Stephen E., you know who Stephen E. is, that Devastation Incorporated guy, that deviant guy who wanted to buy SICW. And we were just a couple of inches away of him doing that. But Ron Powers and Danny Boy and Night Train Gary Jackson came to my rescue.
And won the match. I remember that, yes.
Yes. And against Haku and the Barbarian and Attila Khan.
Yeah.
Tough match.
That bloodbath.
Yeah. So yeah, so I guess that kind of brings also to like one of our big things here with the Bruiser Brody Larry Matisek Tony Costa Battle Royal. So I'm drawing a blank to see who won last year. Was it who did win last year? I'm drawing a blank already.
Attila Khan.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I
Attila
thought.
won last year because Bobby D went 2 for 2 the first year.
Yeah. So he had back-to-back years now. Telecon, and now, and I was trying because I'm seeing some chat here also during our feeds here. Has the cup been brought around since he won?
No, Stephen E. says he took and it's in storage over in Saudi Arabia or somewhere. But he better have it here next Saturday night. I can tell him that. But it's.
I think he threw it in public storage in Belleville somewhere. So I mean,
no, he hasn't. And that's one of the things, guys that's had that cup over the years in the past. Curtis Wilde took it all over. When he was doing work in Springfield or wherever he went to work, he was doing promos with it. And Bobby D the same way carried it to the ring. Very proud of it. And when Texan had it, I just think that. Attila Khan and Stephen E. having their hands on it is not a good thing. So, of course, next Saturday night, Attila Khan has his hands full with the Golden Boy himself, the Golden One, Greg Anthony. So we'll see what happens with that one there. But
we should be destined for a new champion.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
And
then we got Bobby D will be defending the championship, and he'll be going against superstar Steve Fender. So,
yeah, and Steve, I believe, is a former classic champion, isn't he?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're seeing some guys trying to get their hands back on the gold that they once had. Bobby D's is haven't had that for long. In fact, he's only had it since last month, I believe.
Yeah, he beat Kowalski. couple
Yeah,
months.
B Kowalski, and man, I'll tell you, he's. I mean, no, but those two have battled before, and it's been pretty much a good technical showdown because
Well,
those
when you talk
two.
about, oh yeah, when you talk about big men in the business, Kowalski, is right up there. There are big men in this business that, like yourself, Rick. You go out there and you take the bumps and bruises, but boy, you guys give a lot too. I'm telling you. And
Mm,
over the years, there's been a lot of great big men in this business. Haystack Calhoun and people like that that made a good living in the business. So, I've always said it
Haystack.
was a lot of our guys nowadays just weren't at the right place at the right time.
yeah, yeah, no, yeah. It seems like the guys are smaller than us and like to hit at us harder. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's what it seems like.
Well, what we can do is put you and the Miz in the battle royal, and
You better help me. You're not very good at battle royals, though, Ruby. I'm sorry for a big
Oh my
man. You
gosh.
oh, you got to rub it in now, don't you?
I only have to defend myself against 8 people at the same time that try to lift.
well,
Like,
okay. So this is the way we do it. If we go in there, I hold on to you the whole time because that's more weight for them to throw over.
why don't you just bring an anchor into the and hook it onto the bottom rope and then just tie me down to it? I mean, there's ideas for that. I mean, you
Deal.
got 2 guys on each leg, and then there's 3 guys underneath me, and then there's one directing traffic saying, "Okay, he's clear," and then they
now,
ship me over.
now
So
you know what. Now you know what Andre the Giant felt like.
yeah. I mean,
You,
it's like,
you
no, I mean, because I can ground myself pretty good, but I mean, when I'm facing maybe 2 guys, 1 guy for certain, but if I get 8 people on me, no.
this year's your year, Ruby.
Oh,
And if
I
I
mean,
have to get thrown in there, I'll make sure you win this year. How about that?
Wow.
I think I might use you as like a human weapon or something.
If you got to beat dudes with another dude, I'm a good dude to beat dudes with, I guess.
Yeah.
Just don't bump in the ring.
Well,
I don't know.
we were talking earlier about War Horse's match. He's taking on that popular James Jeffries, who's really
Yeah,
He's
that's
heating
going to
up.
be another one that the fans are going to want to see. I think it's going to be pretty good.
yeah,
So, I mean, and then of course, uh, one of the questions that I've got asked people say, how can you keep the costs so reasonable with everything you're offering? The bill after Friday night, the Fan Fest, the Hall of Fame, the wrestling show, and it's kind of like I told them, yeah, I'd love to be able to, you know, charge like some of the other fan fest and comic cons do, but you got to know what your demographics are in your area, and you got to keep it affordable, or the fans are going to just sit at home and say, "Man, I wish we could have went." You know,
Mm-hmm.
mm,
um, and
yeah,
so this way here, if they can come, because you got to face the facts that these legends that are coming in are helping supplement their income, because they didn't have the 401ks and the retirements back in the day. So that's why they're out doing this. That's why they've written books to try to sell them, to try to supplement their incomes. And so if you charge this extraordinary or absorbent fee for them to get in, then they got to go in and make a choice. I want so and so's autograph, but I really want this one over here. And so I try to make it to where they don't have to make that tough of a decision all the time.
yeah, yeah.
So,
And hopefully, like I said, I think it's for the price to getting in and all that, and the Q&A and everything else, I think it's very reasonable myself. I mean, I've looked at it. And if you guys want to be the judge for yourself, then you need to head over to sicw.org to look at those tickets and just get those tickets while you're there. Because, like I said, all these names that are coming down, there's a lot that we've not brought up um, that are going to be there. Like I said, we showed pictures earlier. We saw, like I said, Bill Alfonso. He's been on our show twice. I seen him I've seen him down at the CAC this past summer. And, just a lot of people. Sunny, one of the original Glow Girls, is coming back.
Yes.
Sonny will be there.
Yeah. So Sunny's coming back, and she's really really, really nice, and very energetic to talk to. Good. So it's gonna be good to see them. Um, and like I said, a lot of these guys are gonna be here now. I don't know. There's one that was promoted earlier. I have to ask, and I guess I should ask. I wanted to ask off the record, but back when you guys were first booking this, I did see Bugsy McGraw. So, is
Bugsy's
he
coming.
still planning on coming down, or
Yeah, as far as I know, he was booked. Gangrel will
yeah,
be there.
Gangrel's coming down? Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. So, and again, like I said, when I book these guys, sometimes this year has been a little bit different. I've had people call me and say, "Hey, we want to be a part of it." The first couple of ones, and I think that was out of caution. People, okay, it's never been done in St. Louis before. What are we going to do? Because I've got a couple of other uh, um, agents that book these individuals and say, hey, we want to bring so and so in. GT Collectibles one. They've been at the last two, and when they left the first Fan Fest, they said, "Hey, we're in if you do it again for the second one." After the end of the second one, they said, "Hey, if you do one in the third one, we're in." So those are indicators that they did well with their persons that they had there, and so that's been an easier part this year. I think the reputation of hey, it's been good, and then I think people saying okay, being at the Hilton Hotel at the airport, basically, I think has been a selling point to some, especially that has to fly in. The shuttle runs every 15 minutes across the interstate there, and you're there. Um, so that's been a lot easier. So Bugsy, I don't remember off the top of my head who's bringing Bugsy in, but normally, if for some reason if something was going to happen, God forbid, I don't want nothing happening like the news this morning being woke up to with Sabu. But if somebody for some reason wasn't coming, they usually give me notice um, ahead of time. I mean, just and then because they know how I am, just like today, I get the bad news, and then I immediately, well, not immediately, but after a couple of hours, letting things digest in, and I want the fans to feel like they're getting their money's worth, and so that's why I added Jerry.
Yeah.
So Herb, you know how some people you got to kind of explain it to them or whatever, certain things. So start times, to help promote that out, like what times doors open and all that. Because I've seen a couple people asking, I wasn't for sure either.
Yes, Sunday and something else we're doing this year, and it was at the request and this or suggestion of Teddy Long, is that, and you guys will remember Friday night, all we did last year was we had the Bill Apter one man show that he did, and everybody enjoyed that that was there. Um, this year, the legends who partake in that and show up early on Friday will be able to set their stuff up, and then they'll be able to sign autographs and sell their goods Friday night also.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Nice.
yes, so it gives them a little bit more option. And so, as I've told the people, and when people have called me directly, or we've posted it a couple times that we're doing that, uh, because you can't. Let's face it, there are wrestling fans out there that will try to take advantage of you also. So they'll say,
Mhm.
okay, we're going to pay this $25 fee to come in on Friday night. We're going to get as many signatures as we can, but we're not going to buy a fan fest ticket to come and see all these other ones or see the Hall of Fame or see the rest. So again, the promotional part of me says I got to juggle that around. And the other thing is some of these guys and gals won't get in until late Friday night. I mean, I think uh, one of them don't come in until like midnight. So naturally, they can't be there, but they'll be there on Saturday. So if if people they should buy the whole bundle package because then they can be there Friday night, which gives them their pass to get in on Saturday, where they don't have to stand in line on Saturday to get in because they'll have their armband and everything from Friday night, so they'll be ahead of the game per se. And but the Bill Apter show will start around 7 o'clock Friday evening, and then it'll run for several hours, and then everybody will probably move to the lounge area, and that was the problem we had the last 2 years at the Aviator, their bar. I mean, literally up until the day of the event, they didn't have a liquor license.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I remember Herb telling me about that
Whoa.
last year.
again, those are the headaches that the promotion has to worry about. I mean, and then their food, they were supposed to keep the bar open later in the restaurant, and they're in there flicking the light like at 10:30, and wrestlers don't want to go at 10:30, So, but 7 o'clock Friday night, and then I'm the type of guy that come Saturday morning. Around that 9 o'clock hour, if everybody is in there and set up and ready to go, I'll open the doors. But it's scheduled to start at 10. But if I've got a line standing out there, and hopefully the weather is going to be good. I mean, I'm in weather pattern mode right now. Believe it or not, I adjust my scheduling by the weather a lot, and so from 10, and then that will run until about 5 p.m., and then we'll go into the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We got a video package that we'll have playing, and this year, which we couldn't do last year, that the sound and everything will be piped in through the hotel's system in the ceiling.
Nice.
Last year we had to bring our own speakers, and it just didn't work out good for us. So, but we'll be there Thursday morning, setting everything up early. This year, the ring will be set up ahead of time. You guys will remember the last 2 years we had to run people out at 5 o'clock and then get the ring set up. And so this year, it's going to be up. It'll be up. Chairs will be up where fans can sit down and talk to people, because it's a good way to network with fans too. You never know who you're going to see there, or maybe some of your relation. So they'll have some chairs. We'll have all the chairs set up, and then 5 o'clock the Hall of Fame, and then after that, hopefully we'll be running on schedule, and the wrestling will start about 7, and then it's all bells to the wall, and we have to be out of there by midnight, and that's totally out of there. So I want the matches to go with, reasonably, and by the time we get the ring down and everything.
One guy asked me the other day, he messaged me, because I guess he was having issues trying to order online. Are tickets available at the door, or it has to be online?
They'll be available. The only thing is they're advertised to be available as long as there's still some left. With the hotel being sold out since Thursday, I got the notification of that. Now that doesn't mean everybody, because they got 400 rooms there, that they're all coming to the wrestling matches. They're there for all the other activities that's going on in St. Louis and whatever it may be. But I'm hoping that some of them will, like they do when you check in a hotel, hey, what's going on? Is there anything going on? And so I'm hoping the hotel has been generous to have the local access channel with what's being on, and we'll pick up some fans from that. But again, I got to watch the capacity of the crowd. So I've got tickets available now. We have seen a push since the Channel 4 did their coverage the other night. They did a real nice article. They're scheduled to air that twice this week also, and then be there Friday night to interview some of the legends as they come in. So, but to answer your question, I don't want to have to turn anybody away, but if the hotel says, hey, we're at capacity, then I have to.
Yeah. And I guess one of the I forgot who asked me though, but someone had asked me about with the ticket sale. If they can't make they can't make it Friday night, basically they're concentrating on Saturday. If they miss the Fan Fest but they want to see the wrestling show, is the Hall of Fame included with the Fan Fest or the wrestling show? Because they're kind of
they're separate tickets, and there's even a premium seat. The two first rows around the ring are considered premium seating. The two first rows are completely around it, and there was an upcharge for that. And again, I apologize, I don't have those figures on me, but it's all online at sicw.org. Okay. But if somebody, you said if they miss the Friday night show, if they bought a bundle package, that entitles them to everything. But a lot of people just bought FanFest tickets, and that's what that's for. That does not include the wrestling show.
Right.
So come 5 o'clock when the Fan Fest ends, or they're about whatever time, they'll be asked to vacate, and then the people will have the certain color armband that our staff will know that they have purchased that ticket for the wrestling show to be in there.
I'm looking at the prices right now. So like the bundle with the Legends Q&A, the Fan Fest, the Hall of Fame ceremony, and the wrestling is only $85.
Yes.
That's amazing. You got premium wrestling seats. So if you just want to come watch wrestling, $15. First 2 rows.
Well, that's the first. That's an upgrade, though.
Yeah, that's the upgrade price. It's $15.
Yeah,
extra. And then you have FanFest tickets alone is just $50. The Bill Apner show, so the live Q&A is only $25, and the ticket prices are regular $25. So if you're looking at $25 and you want that upcharge, you're looking at $15 extra. So what,
how much did you say for the Fan Fest just by itself?
$50.
$50.
Yeah,
I'm starting to feel like Scott Steiner here for a minute.
I think the report I saw.
I don't even know Scott Steiner, man, bro. Sorry,
I think the report I saw Friday. I think we're at 120 some people for that Friday night Bill Apter show.
I mean, that's amazing prices.
Yeah, it's and again, I probably shouldn't. Any other business person would be wanting to rake it all in, but Larry and I always had a saying that even on the local shows that we've done, if we don't lose money, that's a win. If we make a little money to buy a steak sandwich at Steak and Shake, because that was his favorite place to eat, we were happy. One of the big enjoyments that him and I both got and that's why you probably don't see it, but Rick, I know you have. I'm usually standing at the exit doors at the end of the show, and I'm thanking people as they leave. And one of the joys I get is when those people say, "Man, Herb, just as we thought we had this figured out, you pulled a rabbit out of the hat." To me, that's a lot when I see those. Even the adults come up, shake your hand, and say, "Man, it was a great card tonight, and we can't wait till the next show." And they're not just BSing you because they're there show after show after show. They follow you over. If you're in Fairmont City, Illinois, they're there. If you're in Sandoval, Illinois, doing a show, they show up. That's what you call building your fan base. And so Larry and I have always had that thing. Yeah, if we make some money on it, we do. We don't want to lose any. And that was what Sam always said. You spend your money wisely. And if you make it too expensive, you're really going to lose money.
Yeah.
I got one. I'm sorry. I got one of my friends texting me at the moment asking about it. So the Fan Fest just covers the meet and greets, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's to get them into the Fan Fest on Saturday.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
And so there's a special band for the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame ceremony and a special band for the wrestling show.
There's not a charge. Now, I don't think in Zmiz you can, I don't have it in front of me, but I don't think there's a separate fee for the Hall of Fame, is there?
No, I'm pretty sure that's in with the wrestling ticket.
That's in with their wrestling ticket.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that was my question.
I think that's the question that was being asked, actually. That was the confusion.
Oh, okay, yeah. I misunderstood that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's easy with a lot going on. There could be, it's easy to confuse.
Oh,
I mean, we're 5 days away from everything kicking off. So
it is, and again, guys, I apologize. I should have had them down, but I'll be honest with you, I don't do that part of it. I have a couple of people that set all that up, and I mean, they ran it all by me and said, "Hey, this is what you asked for. This is what we've done. This is where you tell them to go get the tickets at." So, I more or less, my whole deal is getting the talent booked, and then of course the booker is working on the matches, and Nick is doing getting the plaques made for the Hall of Fame, and I secured the hotel, and Nick and I met over there and looked all over that, and I like it. And it's too late now if I didn't. So, because like Rick said, we're 5 days away, and then the big headache is the airlines, dealing with them. I don't know if you guys fly much, but man, oh man, it's the cost is outrageous. Trying to get seats booked is outrageous. So that takes up quite a bit of time doing that, because then some of the wrestlers have got to have certain seats because they're bigger. They got to have an aisle seat. They got to have first class. I don't want to leave at 6 o'clock in the morning, get me a later flight. Oh, and by the way, I don't want any layovers. I want a direct flight. So those are what I call logistical nightmares.
Yeah.
But I get it done.
Phew.
Yeah, no, that's yeah.
So does anybody want to help?
Well, I mean, hey, you know what? I don't have
What do
to
you need?
I don't have to stay at a hotel because I'm less than 10. My house is less than 10 minutes away from the venue. So,
Oh, so that means you could put up people.
no, that does not mean that. Shut up on the gauge. That does not mean that at all.
You never said it didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I right now, I don't have the capacity for that.
I'll touch and tear down a ring for you, Mr. Herb. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's I'm sure the big Texan will like that, because he's in charge of that, and he's always looking for help. And I always tell them guys that's doing that, unless you have learned that trade of doing that, that'll make an old man out of you real quick.
Yeah.
The
I like
first thing I
lifting,
ever
so-
put up was a 6-sided ring.
Oh, I can't
That
imagine.
sucked.
I can't imagine that. But
But
They bought it. They bought the old.
It.
The Dundees bought one of the old ones from TNA, and I was just like, "What the hell is this?"
yeah. Well, that was that. Who was it? Was it TNA that was going to come back and do all old school wrestling, and then they put a 6-sided ring up, and I'm thinking, how do you have old school wrestling and you're doing a 6-sided ring?
Hey, yeah, I watched an interview with AJ Styles, and he said I hated every bit of it.
Yeah. Yeah. But but each their own, Bill Apter said it on our interview, he may have changed with time, thinking about it, but it's still in his heart. He's old school. And he said, Herb, you're the same way. I said, yeah, you're right. It takes a lot for me to think 20, 25 times, but and I'll think it, but man, I'm still, it's just like now, you guys are talking about what happened on Backlash. I didn't watch Backlash. I don't watch them. I'll sit here and watch an old Bruiser Brody against Dory Funk Jr. or Dick the Bruiser against Ric Flair and have the time of my life. And it's nothing against the talent. I want to watch wrestling. I don't want to watch all the hype and all the
Sports entertainment.
That's what it is, And you guys probably don't remember this, but Vince McMahon said back when he was making his push, I'll either own everything or I'll turn it into a circus. Well, guess what? We had Doink the Clown. We had Insane Posse. We've had every type of character that's been out there. He took Dusty Rhodes and put him in polka dots. He had Randy Orton spitting Harley Race's face. So, he's done everything that he said he was going to do. He's made all the money in the world, and I can't knock him for that, but I don't have to agree with it.
Lingerie pillow fights. Yeah.
I don't agree with that stuff, but
I
just like everything. So it's just like, I'll take all the old school stuff over here, and I'll take all you new school sports entertainment stuff over here, and I'm going to watch you all.
But isn't there a time that you say you would prefer this over that?
I can honestly tell you, face to face and with all due respect, no, actually, there's not.
You enjoy it.
I like wrestling that much that I can. I'm not a death match guy. I'm not that guy. That's not the match I'm going to go out and pick up and grab. But I also understand why people like it, I understand where there could be good storytelling there, but I prefer more knuckle down kind of wrestling. But I also love the whole character, the whole Ric Flair over the top, flamboyant, all of it meshed into one little, just fine little cocoon of yes.
So, and I'm kind of the opposite. I loved it growing up and doing it. When somebody uses a finishing move, that's if you look up the word finisher,
It should be over with. I agree with that.
you know. But now everybody has got three or four or five finishers, and they kick out of them. And I mean, back in the day when Buddy Rogers or whoever put the figure four leg lock and it was their finishing move, the fight was on. No, I'm going to break it. Sometimes they may reverse it, things of that sort. But nowadays, everybody uses it. They kick out of it. I remember when a reverse neck breaker was given by Rip Hawk, and that was the finish. 1, 2, 3, he won.
I can agree with that kind of stuff with like how the moves are treated to the point because I'm sad that like a side slam or running suplex, right? Not what is body slam. I was getting there. I'm irritated that those are no longer like done over like that. That's it. That was the done. You didn't have to go like so. No, when it comes to moveset, how today's society is with wrestling, I agree. Old school way was perfect because once you hit that, that was it. When you saw the DDT from Jake Roberts, you did not question.
No,
it was done. It was over with. Like lights out. Like there, no. Right. Bob Orton with the suplex.
It's like a super kick.
Yeah,
when a super kick got delivered, guess what? Boom! Somebody's lights were going out.
And now thanks to the Young Bucks, 3 times later.
Yeah, and again, and you said it right there, Z. It's all in what people like, and there may be somebody sitting there tonight saying, "Oh, we love it, and that's fine, that's okay." But I don't. I think it really takes away from what wrestling is meant to be from years and years gone by. But I mean, it's if you're going to go out there and beat the crap out of somebody, there's got to come a time when something's got to take over.
Oh yeah.
That's why I like Gunther. He has it all old school.
Yeah, he brings that old school to WWE.
Yeah. And I hope they're not. From what I heard, he was over in Fairview Heights yesterday, and had a good crowd there.
Yep.
So hopefully they don't put him on the shelf.
Nah, he would be a Herb Simmons approved. I know it for a fact.
Oh, and I feel bad because the people said, "Hey, Gunther's going to be in Fairview Heights," and I go, "Who?"
But there's nothing wrong with that. I love that about like. That's why I like having conversations with you on this, outside of this, like because I enjoy the old school. I understand it. I get it. I thoroughly going back and watching. We've talked this how I've went back and watched Stan Hansen and realized like that's my JBL. Like Brody's been some of the same thing. I've watched a bunch of his matches now. Going back and watching Vader's Japanese stuff has been like blowing my mind. So like there's all these cool stuff, and that's the great thing about professional wrestling. And I feel like that's the itch that I have is it's one thing on top of the other, like respecting and understanding the new, but then honoring the old. And I feel like we're starting to get back to something like that, hopefully within the industry. So
well, and I just had this conversation. It was on the show tonight with Bill after I had made a comment that in order to look into the future, you need to know what the past was about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I have done. And that's what I can tell from talking to you, somebody who has that passion and has that drive. You're interested in the past and now the current and what the future holds. If you take the past and the current, that should get you to the future if you want to stay on track with it. What I don't agree with is that people try to say, oh, that happened 10, 15, 20 years ago. It don't mean anything. Well, that was a conversation Billy Corgan and I had. over when we were negotiating over the tapes. I told him what I know about music, you can put in a thimble. On the other hand, what you know about wrestling, you can put in a thimble. Because if you didn't, you know, if you don't know what the NWA stood for, all you did is bought 3 letters. You know, you got to know how the NWA came about, what kept it strong, and what you can do to continue doing it. Now, I think he is picking up his game a little bit now, not a whole bunch. I mean, he's got about a half a pedal here, but that's my opinion. Some people may think it's the greatest thing on since sliced bread, but and I guess because I don't watch it that much, I'm just going by a lot of what I hear. But I still think that if he would other than been a fan and just have the financial money to do it, if you don't know what that NWA stood for, I don't know how you can ever think about making it better. I tried telling him when he came with 73 to St. Louis, you know, why don't you bring in the Jerry Briscoes, the Baron von Raschke, the Ken Patera, and Dory Funk Jr. You don't think that wouldn't have been a reunion for his first 73 show in St. Louis?
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
Yeah. And he told me, he said, you know, this is the new day. Okay, fine. Then don't call it the NWA. Because the NWA that you're talking about now is not the NWA I knew about, or I was around. And that's okay. I mean, he'll say, well, we don't care if you're around it. Well, if I don't approve what you're doing now, that's okay. He don't approve the way I run my business. But I guarantee you, for 52 years, it's been okay for me. Would I do anything different? You know, I tell the story, and I heard it from a guy named Big Thunder, Gene Kaniski. When he was getting ready to leave us, Larry Matisek, I was sitting at his house and was having a phone conversation on a speakerphone. And Larry asked him, said, Thunder, if you had any regrets in this business, what would it be? And in his graspy voice, he said, my only regret is I couldn't do it all over again. And isn't that one regret that would be great? I mean, no regrets. Hey, I did everything the way I wanted to. I did it my way. And that's why, I mean, like I said early on, I tell the guys, don't take my kindness as weakness. I am the most easiest guy. If you want to sit down and pitch an angle to me and it makes sense, and I think the fans are going to go, I'm all in. Why wouldn't I be? That's what we're here for. We're here not to feed our own egos. We're here to make the fans happy. Because if the fans aren't happy and the fans aren't coming back,
what's the point?
And also, with that being said, with live TV right now and live, I want to apologize for my late night rant message you got from me a while back ago about an idea.
That's okay. No, that's fine. I can't, man, if I showed you, in fact, if I ever write a book, I'm going to put something, because I get a lot of those fans will sit. I'm telling you that after a show, I usually get home, depending on if we have to clean up or whatever. But after just a standard show, I get home 11-ish, 12-ish. But I'm up till 4 or 5 in the morning. I don't think wrestling fans ever sleep. I think they are so hyped. They're texting me and sending me messages. Man, what about this? So-and-so cheated. You know, you got to do this. You got to do that. Here's an idea. Why don't you put so-and-so here? So-and-so. And I love it. I mean, I love the fan interaction. Because as I said a little while ago, without the fans, who are we doing it for?
Right.
I sent that and I was like, man. And then I talked to Ruby and I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done it. And then like, man, never mind. I'm gonna just keep going with it. Like, it's a good idea, and if they use it, they use it. I'm not worried about it. But no, it was. I have a lot of admiration for you and a lot of respect, because I understand what you're trying to do and keep a true tradition alive about what St. Louis wrestling really was. It's the same stuff that my grandmother talked about and got me into the whole reason I got into got to be a fan and now into the industry was because my grandmother talking about wrestling at the Chase and old school wrestling. So to learn from that world is an honor for me, and I'm just humbled to be fortunate enough to speak to somebody like you.
Well, I appreciate those kind words, and like I said, and that's what makes me feel good when I'll digress back to Chris last week on your show. I mean, that's a young man that really touched me when he sit there and told the story. Or you take somebody like a Glenn Williams, who is that little, he just bugs me, with his attitude. Uh, he's a rookie in the business, went to the Bob Orton's training school, but I'm going to tell you, what he lacks his ability in the ring, he makes up on the microphone. I'm going to tell you, when he gets those two gelled together, there's another guy that you better watch on the radar screen, because he's putting it all together the right way. He's not in a big hurry about it, but he'll sit there and tell his life story, how he got into it, why he's into wrestling, and that's a young man that has taken all of those. They say you never hit rock bottom until you actually hit rock bottom, and a guy like him did, and he dug himself up out of basically the streets. And now, a family man, he's chasing that dream, and he's got a hold of it, and he's not going to let go. And that's what made me, I think, so interested in your interview last week, because Chris was sitting there telling those same type of stories. A guy like you, when you sit there and can admit and say, I've had this issue, I've done this and that, and look at you. You can sit here tonight for 3-4 hours and talk about a passion, something that is close to your heart, and laugh and joke about it. And some people don't want to do that. And that's what the problem is. Unless you can talk about it freely, you're never going to let it go. And that's
Amen to that.
That's what you've done.
Amen to that.
I've seen that.
I appreciate you on that, Herb.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't mean to get on.
No, I stayed at 4:00 in the morning watching Hall of Fame speeches from Triple H and them, because that's like, Triple H is one of my idols. Like, that's one of the dudes of all dudes. Harley Race was one of my grandmother's favorite wrestlers, was one of my favorite wrestlers. I found Ric Flair, and then everything, just clicked a different direction. But then I found Triple H, and, clicked a different. So his speech means a lot to me, because that's one of my childhood heroes. So
sure. Yeah. And it's okay to latch on to people like that, because we all have somebody out there that we want to look up to. And when you find it, man, you won't go wrong. I'm telling you.
Nope.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ruby. Do what you're going to do.
No. I'm good. No, like
Ruby can't think of anything else to talk about.
I'm over here emotional and wanting to cry, because like that's what wrestling does for me. Like, just the things that it connects for me and the way it makes me feel, and like every bad moment I've ever had, I went to wrestling to like forget about it. Yeah,
it was your escape from reality.
Yeah, so it means like the world.
Yeah, the only thing you have to remember, and I tell people this. My day job is a stressful job, and so my escape from that is wrestling, like yours, and that's why, I can go, but you're not 72 years old either. Someday you will be, and that's what I said earlier, that that little arrow in that gas tank is getting down towards the E, and I think Ron Powers, my good friend, and Ron has done a lot for me in the business, and that's why I say he's well deserving of this Sam Muchnick award this year, because he's another old school type guy, and he stood in the ring one night, and it was at Larry Matisek Memorial that we did right after Larry had passed away, and he said he has a fear, and he said that fear is what happens to the wrestling when people like Herb Simmons is no longer here, trying to preserve what we old school fans grew up on. And I never did think about that until after I heard that night. And it's not that I'm the egomaniac or anything like that, but after he said that, I started thinking around. Everybody else is all geared towards what's going on now. The collection of stuff that I've had over these years, who's going to be interested in that unless you're in the wrestling business? That's what I tell my wife. you'll have the biggest bonfire ever because nobody's going to know what this stuff means. To Joe Blow on the road, it doesn't mean anything to him. But to some fan that's been in it and thought about it, they say, wow, you got this sign from 1969 that held in the Kiel Auditorium with Edouard Carpentier against Gene Kaniski, and it's in a frame, or you got programs dating back to 1932. And from 1953 to 1983, they're all in hardbound books like they're brand new. So fans would love that stuff, but the average Joe person wouldn't care about it at all. So I know some fans that would jump on the fire and try to get it out of him.
I mean, my wife even said this, and she's a wrestling fan to the point, not like I was, and then she's gotten more now with me being in the business. She likes more of it, but they always have like these Hall of Fames for like the NBA, all that kind of stuff. We need something like that for wrestling because I think there's more people out there than you believe that are like you or like us that are that historians that would go and travel and put their own kids and stuff in it. Because I see wrestling in this new rebirth, this new thing where just like the NBA, people are arguing about guys like Stan Hansen, JBL, Gunther now. Like who? Okay, now we're going generational. Who's winning? Who do you got? Like Stan's taking a lot of it, but I don't know. JBL can take a hit pretty good. Like those new conversations are reappearing in the generational combination. I don't know. I think it all belongs. That's why I'm for everything.
Sam Muchnick always said wrestling was like a roller coaster. Reaches high and then it goes down and it comes back up. And we're reaching the top of that plateau. Now, how long it's going to stay there, nobody knows. There's only one thing y'all know for sure. It's going to go down sooner or later. It has to. Nothing stays on top forever.
Right.
So my advice is we all ride that roller coaster while it's there. And I have rode it through the good times and the bad times. And like I said, I'll be honest with you, I've not seen it as on the incline that it's on now over the last 2 years. It's been steadily climbing. I mean, you're seeing more positive stuff. You're seeing more people talking together. I mean, you think 2 years ago, these organizations, even locally, weren't talking together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm involved with promotions across the country with my affiliation with the Cauliflower Alley Club and with the Tragus Thez Hall of Fame with Jerry Briscoe and JBL and James Beard. So I talk to these other promotions, and there's one that does a podcast frequently where he has us all on, and we talk about of course I'm the oldest one on there, longevity wise, and it's a really interesting for me to hear, kind of like what I hear from you guys, what they're facing right now. And then some of those promoters will call me and say, well, hey, how do you do this? How did you work around this part of it? They're willing to listen and they're willing to try it. 2 years ago, stay out of my area. Don't do this. Come on. It was taboo to talk to anybody. So I see that changing, and that's a positive thing. We still have a few of them that should be put in check, but maybe sometime that will happen.
Respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll
So
tell
is
you
there,
what, man.
is there anybody else coming in that we didn't talk about? We mentioned Tito.
Yeah, we mentioned Tito. That's what I'm trying to look at.
I'm pumped for Miss Jackie.
Oh, yes.
I got Medusa last year. Now I'm going to get Miss Jackie. One of the greats.
What about Devon Dudley?
Yeah, Devon
That's
Dudley
what
would
I'm
be
looking
good.
forward to.
That's another one. I have a list this year. I have a list this year. Like last year, the last few years, like it's been pick and choose. Like I want just this person, this person. This year, you got me. I'm ready. I need some photos.
Bring your camera along. Yeah, there you go.
I want to get Rikishi too because my dad met him at a music festival. I'm not going to tell him the story probably about what my dad told me when he came home, but I'll say it here. my dad came home and he's like, man, so I'm at Rikishi. That boy is big. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, like 2 folding chair big. And my dad's a big guy too. So like for my dad to say that, I was like, dang, that's a big guy.
Yeah.
I met him 2 weeks ago, and he didn't get up for nobody's picture. Everybody had to come to him.
I will. Rikishi's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, oh gosh, the boogeyman. I almost
Yeah.
forgot about.
Who's going to eat the worms?
Zach,
I might. If he does me a We Talk Wrestling thing, yeah. I'll eat worms. I'll eat worms with the boogeyman, dang it.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, if
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, if he brings worms to my table, I am getting out of there. I'm just not having. I'm not having it that day.
He's the boogeyman. And he's coming to get you.
Oh,
you
what
sound like
did
Gerald
do?
Briscoe with smells.
Oh my god! I'm just afraid of getting my table.
I can't wait to see Teddy and Mac again.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't wait to visit with those 2 gentlemen.
Yeah,
The-
nice guys. Mac, he does some of my commercial stuff for me and does a great job on that. And of course, Teddy is he is he's a great person. And when I told him about the Lifetime Achievement Award, man, he got choked up.
He deserves it. He's one of the best dudes in the business, in my opinion.
Yeah, and gets out there and does it, and he'll tell you the way it is too. If you want to listen, he'll tell you about it, and
Oh yeah.
he'll tell you. Now you may not like what I'm going to tell you, but you want to know. You asked a question, I'm going to give you the answer, and he won't take any shortcuts either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds like
Yeah.
me.
You don't like his advice? Please don't call him Peanut Head.
Alan says, "Has anybody seen Ruby run?"
We will at the Fan Fest with the worms.
No. But,
Oh man,
yeah, I have a feeling GQ will probably do the same thing if he's sitting there too.
I don't
and
know.
we can't forget the Ace is going to be with us too, Cowboy Bob Orton. I mean,
Yes.
I've actually got him double duties. I got to have him at a private show on Friday from 11:30 to 2:30 over in O'Fallon, Illinois, and
Yeah.
And then try to get him back there in time. Bob is in demand right now, so he's at a private car show that they're doing for Corvette owners, and so
Oh, nice.
they wanted the Ace to be there, and they got some type of old car they're going to bring him in, and it's one of those, what do they call them? Like the roofs are cut down on them, and there's no way. I said, there ain't no way he can get in there. Bob's a big guy, and they said, oh no, it's actually easier to get in them. I said, that ain't what I'm talking about. You can roll into it, but it's getting out of it is the hard part.
So it's a chop top.
It's something, yeah. It's one of those low roasters or something.
Oh
yeah.
man.
So
I
got
love
a feeling-
lowriders.
So I got a feeling when we pull up there Friday 11:30 and he sees that car,
He's still going to be in it by the evening, right?
he's gonna look at me and say, "What did you do to me here?" But
Holy cow! I didn't realize he's.
so he's doing
got a
double
busy
duties
day.
that morning, yeah, and then he'll be with us that evening, and then back Saturday. But Bob's always good. He's another one that once you get him talking, he'll tell you some good stories. He never was known for his promos, but boy, I'll tell you, he delivered them punches. And him and Roddy Piper, he's got more stories about him and Roddy on the road than.
He has one of the best suplexes in the business, like the cleanest suplexes, and even the back, like the top rope back one, is
Yeah,
beautiful.
the
but
superplex.
the superplex, but like, dude, that guy just throws clean every time.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I liked about him. The suplex
yeah.
is one of my favorite moves, by the way.
If you ever get a chance, Google his dad, Bob Orton Sr., and you'll see the total resemblance. You'll see why Bob does what he does.
I'll have to then, because I've not
Yeah.
had.
Yeah, Bob Orton Sr., taught him how to work,
His stuff with Roddy Piper going into the first WrestleMania was like so good, and then even the stuff prior to that, like Him and Roddy together were amazing.
Oh yeah, and he loved Roddy, and they traveled a lot together and did a lot of stuff together, and he talks about him all the time, you know. So and that's what it is. You build the friendships, and you know, it's. I'd be willing to bet you guys have never been in the same room together before, all three of you,
Well,
What do you mean?
me and
No,
Zach have.
other than
no,
in
it's
here. I mean, in person.
No, me and Zach
no,
have.
not in person. No.
But you build a friendship from just doing what you're doing, you know.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. I do a lot of Zoom these things, and people that I've never been in the same room with, or uh, but you feel that connection, you know, just like us. We sit here, and I mean, Austin, first time I heard you on there, this is the first time I've actually interacted with you, and so now we've got a connection, and that connection was wrestling. So, but that's what makes it such an interesting sport that I call it. Some people don't like to call it sports, but I still say it's a sport.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like when I hear people tell me about, oh man, where did they get those blood capsules at? And some people ask that question over and over, and some people I just don't even entertain anymore. But in 52 years, I have never ever seen a blood capsule.
I just tell them Spear Halloween, and you find a way to make it work.
Yeah,
I don't.
but again, you know, it's just things like that that if people want to understand that, you know, um, I think I've told the story before where Sam Muchnick was a notable individual anywhere he went because of his, you know, he was in the paper business, and so everybody knew him from that. But then the wrestling is what really got him the notoriety, and he'd walk into restaurants and people would be sitting there, and I was with him a couple of times, and somebody would say, "Hey, Sam, are you still doing that wrestling, that fake stuff down there every week?" And Sam would say, "Yeah, I just can't get away from it," you know. And the guy would say, does Bulldog Bob Brown still cover his ears up when the fans are barking at him?" And see, yeah, he said he's got a hearing problem. And then we walk over and sit down at our table, and Sam would say, "Closet fan." Because how else would he know Bulldog Bob Brown is covering his ears up if he wasn't watching it, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that back in the day, people were like, "Oh, taboo. You don't tell them you like wrestling," you know. But in all rights, they were sitting at home every week waiting for it to come on, you know, because it was a form of escape from reality for him. You know, it was good against evil, and that's what everybody wanted to see, you know. And to this day, they still do. Yeah, I tell everybody, it's like John Wayne shooting the bad guy. You know, if I want to believe he shot the bad guy or him and the Indians had the biggest fight ever, who am I to say it didn't happen? I watch every John Wayne I can see, you know.
Yeah. John Wayne's. Yeah, John Wayne was really good actor back in his day. Like you said, it's Hollywood. You know, believe what you want to believe if it's Hollywood.
You go to the movies all the time to watch a movie, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. It's like, you know, it's like where you go. If you go to the movies, it's not a fake. You know, it's a story. It's not real, right? You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
just like soap operas. If women are going to tease you, tease them about soap operas. It's like this is the man's soap opera at its best. You know, back in the day.
Wrestling is just the greatest form of entertainment. I don't care what anyone says. Like I will argue anyone tell me what's a better form of entertainment than professional wrestling. There's not one. It wraps up movies. It wraps up physicality. It wraps up storytelling. Like there's nothing better than professional wrestling, hands down. I don't care what anyone on this earth wants to say.
Well, and it's the only thing that you can get all year round.
Yeah, I don't have to wait for anything.
It's not seasonal. Yeah. And that's the other thing. I mean, it's not like the football and the baseball or hockey. You know, growing up, you know, TV, that's how wrestling at the Chase got to be so popular. You know, Harold Koppler, the owner of the TV studio, had the outlet. He had the avenue for it, and Sam had the content. They made the deal on a handshake on an airplane, and that's how wrestling at the Chase got born, basically. And there was only limited stations back then, and KPLR was the largest independent station there was. But again, they used to go out and film quarter league baseball just to have contents on television, you know. And so when Sam came along with, hey, let's do wrestling, I mean, it was an ideal thing for here in the St. Louis area, and it just grew from there. But then you had wrestling, Three Stooges, and roller derby is three of the things that we all grew up on. And then on Saturday, you'd have Tarzan if you wanted to watch Tarzan movie, which I only watched the Johnny White.
Yeah.
So, but there was limited television back then.
I'm sorry, and if your date can't sit through all three of those with the wrestling, Three Stooges, and roller derby, then she's not for you.
You're in
She
trouble.
needs to go.
See ya. Bye, Felicia.
I was just watching roller derby the other day.
Now
I
that
watched
was
it.
entertainment.
I watched it back in the day, Joni Weston and all of them, the Bay Area Bombers, and
Yeah, what was it? Roller bounce, right?
Roll
What's the-
bounce. No.
Yeah.
I can't remember because they had, like, the gators.
How hard is it?
What?
How hard is it to freaking? It's like I didn't know how they scored their point system for one at some points, but then to throw a back elbow while you're skating to try to get somebody else who's skating, and you get it's like free form. You can't plant your foot.
Roller
It's
bounce
like,
was the
how are
bomb,
they
dude.
doing that? So no, and I like it when people get hit up over the rails. It's like, getting out of the ring.
Well, like the
Backbite.
original one in the '80s or whatever it was, they had like gators in the end pond and stuff, and like they threw somebody into the end pond because they lost. Like, oh my god, it was.
well, roller derby was so big back in the day until it got spoiled because somebody came up with the brilliant idea to start letting both teams travel on the same buses together. And that's kind of what broke the kayfabe there,
Yeah, it was
Oh
funny.
my gosh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah. So,
no.
but there's more of those great memories that's been made over the years, and that's what we're doing now. What you guys will continue to doing is making more memories for something that you love doing.
Yeah.
And our fans are the ones that get the benefit from it.
Yeah, make them as long as you can, and keeping the tradition alive. And then, of course, like I said, the Fan Fest is going to be an event that everybody needs to be at. Like I said, it's going to cover a lot of genres. I mean, a lot of generations. Even if you watch wrestling, even like you said, like 3 or 4 years ago, I mean, we're having guys that are there. So. And then of course those who are in old school. That's what it is. So a lot of old school, a lot of the newer guys, a lot of the attitude, ruthless aggression era guys. So you get to see it all. So once again, guys, SICW FanFest 3, SICW.org is the site you need to go to. Once again, to get your tickets online. And like you said, they could be available at the door, but like you said, or like Herb said, they're not guaranteed. So if you know you want to go, find a way to get onto that website. Once again, SICW.org, and get your tickets ordered, paid for, and then just get checked in at the door when you get there. And you won't have to save the hassle of whipping out your card or cash. Or I don't even know how they would take. I guess they're doing card only for payment. I assume, Herb.
At the door. Well, I don't know. The most of the legends usually take cash. Some of them now have the squares, but
Yeah.
But at the door for the admission, we'll have you can use your card or cash, either one.
Yeah. Or Z, I'd be like, hey, Zmiz, I need some cash. Venmo me, bro.
I can do that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I tell you, I can't wait. It's going to be here before we know it, and everybody can come and have a good time, and then hopefully knock on wood, there won't be any big hiccups, and it will all go off without a hitch.
It's
Yep.
gonna be a good time. It always is.
I appreciate, like I said, you guys jumping on board at the beginning and then helping me follow up here tonight. We're doing everything we can, last minute pushes,
Oh yeah.
because I want to make sure the word gets out, and I've told you this before, the podcast that like yous do, and Texan and Bobby D and them, and Bill Afters and everybody that's got one of these podcasts is helping promote it, and I appreciate that because it takes all of that. You can't just rely on one. It's just you guys do a good job, and you get the word out there, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. 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 Like I'm trying to do just even preparation of what I'm going to bring for my setup and all that. Come for because I mean I'll be there on Friday to set up, and our banner our booth banner should be getting in here tomorrow, but I'm not. But I got faith that it's going to look good, so probably won't even look at it till we get to the hotel on Friday to get set up. So it'll look
Yeah.
pretty awesome. Um, so no, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, Z's looking forward to it. There's just been a lot of talk about it, and and like I said, we're looking forward to participating basically through the entire weekend. And of course, Aussie Cage has got some other obligations on Friday, and he'll be in on Saturday first thing. And like I said, we'll be starting our sound. I mean, like I guess we'll play by ear too. If the doors open, because we'll probably start like 2 hours after the doors open, because we want to get around and let people know about us going on, and you know who knows. Then maybe 11:30. We may start at 11:30, but we want to be on for a good amount of. We want to be on throughout a good part of the fan fest, though, and we
Right.
want to kind of bring all the joy for those who are, you know, out of state or like in a different even continent that watches our show. They can't, they want to see what's going on. So we'll hopefully we'll bring what they're missing to the fan fest, and maybe we'll get people to come down. I don't know,
That'd be
but
good. Yeah.
yeah,
It's your time. You'll be able to do what you got to do, and I think you'll like the Hilton. It's I,
I
I I'm
I just
I'm
like
happy.
that. I mean, I just like that you're gonna have an area that the ring is gonna be set up, and you won't have to worry about just try to get people. Okay, yeah, you gotta get out of here so we can set everything
Yeah,
back up and go back
that
in.
was a headache the last 2 years, and again, I'm on pins and needles over that because as I look at the diagram the hotel sent me, I want to make sure there's enough room.
Yeah,
Um, and because it's a
me
union
too.
shop that they have there, you have to have them putting the tables and chairs up, uh, and I don't want to get into that argument with them. So I will be there first thing Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. Well, that's all happening to make that decision on if the
Yeah,
chairs have to be up then or if I have to pay to have them come back in and do it later. So, but we'll work that out Thursday. That's one of
yeah.
the logistical problems that I get to deal with.
And for the entire weekend, well, it's gonna be dependent on two words: climate control, which we did not have at the AV here the last 2 years we had it.
Well, I
So
can tell you that was one of my first things on my checklist when I met with. What I like about the Hilton is they actually assign a um, uh, I can't think what they call them. We have a contact person that will be there. We've dealt the whole thing through the contract, and we met with them, and then they will be there throughout the entire event. We got a key to their office in case they're in there, and all the doors have got keys that we can lock and unlock ourselves that we're using. So they have been super to work with. But one of the things on my list when I was negotiating the contract was the air conditioning. I explained to them what happened, and uh, they concerned me at first because they said, "Well, we're in the remodeling stage." I said, "Yeah, I noticed that when I came in." Well, that was back months ago. Now that modeling's been done, and they said, "Well, we do have some air conditioning problems on that part over there." And I said, "I don't care about that part over there. This part that I'm renting better have air conditioning." I'm telling you.
Oh,
That many bodies. Ooh.
Yeah, I remember Teddy being a little bit frustrated when we went outside
Oh,
for
yeah.
some conversations.
But again, even with that, I maybe had a half a dozen fans as they was coming and going mention it, but the overall response was it was awesome. People loved it. Then they say, just hope you can get the air conditioning fixed. And if the one year it wasn't broke, it's
They
just
forgot
that
to turn it on.
your own maintenance man had it set on heat.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. And
oh, that's a
so
lot of must.
that was, that was not a good thing.
And when I went in the VIP room last year, it was a warm day, if I mind you, on Saturday. And I'm looking at the thermostat, I'm like, man, what in the world's going on here? And I'm looking at the thermostat, it's at 79 and it's set to heat. I'm like, that's why I called Jason. I'm like, what is this? I'm
Yeah.
like, no
Yeah,
wonder
that's
these
right.
guys
You're the one who pointed it out. Yeah.
they can't stay in the VIP room for like more than 5 minutes at a time because they can't stand it.
Yeah. So yeah, it was I was not a happy camper that, and when I
Oh,
had my debriefing with them, that was the topic then too. And of course, then it's over with, and oh, we're sorry, and if you book next year, we'll do this, we'll do that, and like I said early on, I'm glad I didn't do that because otherwise, I wouldn't know where we'd have been going.
oh my gosh.
Of course, that could have been my excuse to have to cancel, right?
Yeah.
Blame it on the aviator.
Uh,
No,
uh,
it's going to be fun. I can't wait to see these fans. I mean, I'm getting text messages from them from Canada, Tennessee, Arizona, Louisiana. Hey, we can't wait to be there. We're coming back again this year. So I said, okay, just if I hadn't met you in the past, just come up to me. I'll be the guy running around with my head cut off. So
oh my.
yeah, but it's going to be fun, guys. Again, I appreciate all the help, and I'm going to get off here. I got about another 2 hours of work I got to get done before
Yeah.
my week starts. And but I really appreciate you letting me come on tonight and chew the fat with you.
Always
yeah,
a
no,
pleasure,
not a
sir.
problem. Not a problem, man. We thank you very much for hanging out with us. And like I said, we're looking forward to seeing you this weekend. And we got some work to do ourselves. So, I mean, we'll just see you when in about 5 days, and we'll reconvene then, right?
Very good. Good night, guys.
All right,
Have a
have
good
a
one,
good
Herb.
night.
Here.
All right, buds. So that was Herb Simmons. Like I said, taking the time out and discussing with us everything going on FanFest 3. So once again, that's SICW.org, guys. And also, like I said, we're going to make announcements on our pages in regards to when we're going to start our simulcast. And I believe next week, number 194, we're going to be recapping some stuff maybe that you missed, maybe on our live simulcast. And then also we're going to be kind of previewing what's coming up because Saturday night's main event's coming around, guys.
Pretty
I'm
excited.
hearing some rumors in the mill of some events that happened last night at the post show press
R
conference.
Truth John Cena. Let's
We're probably
go.
going to get R-Truth and John Cena. Who would have never thought that match would have happened?
That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh! And then of course we got main event Jey Uso, who will defend the World Heavyweight Championship against Logan Paul.
That'll be good.
So we'll be talking more about that. Like I said, there's probably going to be more with this upcoming week with SmackDown, and of course tomorrow night with Raw on Netflix. And yeah, so I mean we're going to be talking about that. Along with mixing it with the recap of FanFest. So, I mean, that's. But guys, I'm excited. I know it's a lot of work. I'm still behind on stuff, trying to get some stuff done. And things that came up this week. Life happens. I'm tired of too much life is happening, so it needs to slow down so I can do other things. But I'm pretty sure I should get it done with what we need to get done. So, but no, guys, are you excited? Any final thoughts before you sign out here for the night?
No, sir. Looking forward to Saturday.
I'm just pumped. Like I'm excited to be around for one, Herb, Texan, Bobby D, Mr. Glenn Williams. Not you, Sean Vincent, but all the other great guys there.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I can't wait to be there. It's gonna be a blast. It's gonna be fun, and
Yeah, I'm looking forward too. So
pumped.
Yeah. But Austin Cage, thanks for joining us again, my friend. And we'll see you on Friday. Saturday. Excuse me. It's been a long day.
Wife and I are going to the zoo Friday.
It's been a long life. So, but guys, whoever's watching tonight, thank you very much for watching and kind of joining in with your comments. And yeah, man, I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody this coming Friday and Saturday, SICW FanFest 3.
Hey, Ruby, I was a damn baby face tonight, so you better be proud.
Oh. I know it's going to be different come this weekend. So
Don't be a hater. Hit the like, subscribe button. Until next time. We see you.
All right, guys, that's it for us. Have a great week. We'll see you at the FanFest this coming weekend. And we'll be back on Sunday with episode number 194. Have a great week, guys. And we'll see you then.
Peace.